how do I put it? It was like, what do you care about them? What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you? Take care of your own life. Do the best you can for you and your family. What do the rest of the people mean to you? They don't mean anything to you. They're just serfs. They're just people. You know, what's the end goal? The end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society. They want a one-world government controlled by them. Everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip.
One, two. Welcome back to the weekly Friday night hangout for the Ramesh community.
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above.
Welcome back, everyone. How you doing? Andy PG, what's going on, mate?
Shalom to everyone in the peasant sphere.
Shalom, Michael. Yes, we are back with our regular Friday night. It's 9 p.m. and that means only one thing. It is Rise Above Live. Big shout out to everybody tuned in. Eye for an Eye, one of our mods there. I can see we've got Lord Doobsworth. Big shout out to Steve.
Currently 96 peasants tuned in. Let's see if we can share the stream, guys.
Yeah.
We've had a bit of an issue with we've been censored off YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, we've had people saying that they're not subscribed to the channel anymore, so please make sure you are still subscribed because all types of skullduggery is going on.
People aren't getting notifications, all sorts of stuff. It says there's no little red dot that says we're live on YouTube.
Now, we have got a very special guest tonight, and we're going to be chatting to him literally in just a few minutes. None other than Mr. Vinny Eastwood.
Michael.
Very excited to chat to this guy. I've got a feeling we've got a bit of a synergy already, maybe with our outlook towards clown world. I've got a feeling we're going to get on like a house on fire.
I read a report: 33 million people in Britain are mentally ill. No, they're not.
It's probably much more than that. So yeah, big shout out to Vinny Eastwood. We're going to chat to him in just a minute. Once we've got some of the usual business out of the way. Last week we had an excellent round table discussion on plant medicine. If you haven't checked that out, go back and check it out. Big shout out to Wisdom of Mushrooms, Toroidal Dynamics and Sister and Sounds who were in the studio with us. It was great to have that, that round table discussion. We're going to be doing more of that in the future.
I felt we covered a lot, but like Tom said, he's like, we barely scratched the surface.
Yeah, there's got to be a part 2 to that. And also, we got a lot of positive feedback about having, an extra 3 people in the studio live, having that discussion, popping off in the studio. So we're definitely going to be doing more of that going forward. Next week, we are going to be having a break on Friday night, but the week after, we've got allegedly Dave
Wow.
back in the studio, and he's got some exciting new topics to talk about concerning his theories about the fourth dimension, NPCs, the Mandela effect, which is the big hot topic that everyone's talking about at the moment. So, Rise Above Live.
Shout out to Bazman. I see you in the chat there.
Big up, Baz. Yeah, 15th of March 2024, we're back with allegedly Dave, which will be is that his second or third?
Second
Appearance on Rise Above Live. Right, now, I said there's no show next week on the Friday. However, on the Thursday night, we have got another instalment of our learning portal, which is Raw Academy. Tickets are on sale right now. I'm going to put the QR code on the screen.
Raw.
Not only is this a fantastic opportunity to learn about medicinal mushrooms microdosing, it's an interactive deep dive with Tom from Wisdom of Mushrooms, who's an expert at all this stuff.
Raw.
Let me just get the, thank you very much, Andy PG. Here's the QR code on the screen, riseabove.tv, go to the Raw Academy section, and it is basically a private Zoom meeting, and it's about 2 hours long. Thursday night next week, we're going to be going deep into all of the mechanics of how to literally microdose mushrooms, the benefits, other mushrooms and other things that you can stack them with for other aptogenic benefits. And it's going to be a fantastic meet-up on a Thursday
I'll
night.
be here.
And this is another great way to support us here at Rise Above, the learning portal. We've had various different lessons and classes so far, and obviously all of the proceeds of this go back into supporting our stream and what we're trying to do here, which is new organic media funded from the bottom up. Shamon indeed. Let me just crack open this cider.
What you got there, Michael? Bit of inches.
Yeah, it's a local one. It's a local one tonight. Inches cider. It really just actually tastes like apple juice. Okay, so yeah, get your tickets now for microdosing. You can scan the QR code or go to riseabove.tv. Another way another way you can support us is buy merchandise. We never charge for the stream. We don't do subscriptions. We never put ourselves behind a paywall. We always broadcast for free, guys. But this stream is not free to produce. Look at our studio. Look at these production costs.
Raw.
We do sell merchandise. There's two different ways you can buy merchandise. It's either from the Becky S collection on Redbubble, or you can go straight to, no, it's not that one. You can go straight to our website at riseabove.tv.
Again, scan the Schwab code, guys.
Yeah, scan the Schwab code and it will take you directly there. Now, tonight, we are going to be having 2 music videos later on from none other than Ryan Sanders, right? Now, I've got a whole stack of Ryan Sanders CDs here. Every single purchase of Rise Above merchandise tonight, you will get a Ryan Sanders CD sent to you separately. So big shout out to Ryan. A bright, young, new, up-and-coming artist who we've had on the show before. Combating the Soviet Union with his lyrics and his bars. Okay, and also he's going to be appearing, and don't worry, Vinny's coming soon. We've just got to get these announcements out of the way. He's also appearing at Sound Beautiful Festival. We're going to be playing there too, an exclusive 2-hour set. We're not doing our own event this year,
We're
guys.
doing a multi-genre mashup there.
A multi-genre mashup. We've got Sin Star Dread, Magix, Andy PG, Marky PG.
Marky P.
Marky,
Not Marky PG.
No, he got changed. It's called Marky PG now.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. That's the new name for him. Myself and MC Manic. This is an event in Dorset. It's on the weekend of June the 27th to June the 30th. You can see from the flyer here some of the people that are attending. It's a 3 or 4 day event for all the family. One of those freedom events.
It's a peasant fest.
It's a peasant fest. All of us peasants in the Soviet Union are going to be going there enjoying ourselves for the weekend. So yeah, get your tickets now. Use Rise Above as the code, and you get a chance to win free tickets, and we get a little kickback as well to help out our costs here at this new organic media station.
Guys, as per regular, if you buy some merch during the show, I'll give you a shout out on the email.
Obviously, you're going to get a shout out.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to get a shout
Oh,
out.
hold on. We're slinging these as well.
Yeah. Every single person that buys merchandise tonight gets a free Ryan Sanders CD.
Ryan Slanders.
And we will be playing 2 of his new tracks coming up later on. Okay, here's an event that's going on the South Coast in the UK on this Sunday, right? And
Get rid of the Schwab code, love.
I will get rid of the Schwab code, Andy, sorry. So it's drum and bass on a bike. Who knows about this event? It's an awesome thing that was going on all through lockdown.
Highly popular amongst the peasants.
Getting people going out, getting active, listening to some music, and apart from that, it's really cool. We're all going on rollerblades.
Raw.
Myself,
I won't
you're
be
not
going
going there, but we are.
rollerblades,
I know there are a number of Rise Above Ramesh family going there. I'm going to be there, caning around on rollerblades with the GoPro. Come and say hello if you're going to be in the area. Okay, I think is that all our announcements?
Should we get Mr.
done?
News in? Let's bring him in.
I think we should. Right. Okay. So I've heard a lot about this guy. He's from New Zealand. He is. I'm going to put him as an anti-Soviet broadcaster, a bit like us.
Absolutely,
you know?
yeah.
I think he'll enjoy that term. Okay. Without any further ado, let's invite Mr. Vinny Eastwood to rise above.
Yes, like in Palestine, without further ado, now the Vinny Eastwood Show.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's Mr. News here.
What a way to end the stream.
Yeah, that's what she said. So good. So good morning, gentlemen, and good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Vinny Eastwood from the Vinny Eastwood Show. It's the lighter side of genocide. Just because we're being exterminated doesn't mean we can't enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed? The Vinny Eastwood Show, where the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes.
Well, thank you very much, Vinny.
What an awesome opening monologue.
Yeah.
Mate, welcome to Rise Above. You've already said a lot there. There are only really 2 words that we don't say on the show. One starts with C, and it sounds like Hovis. The other starts with V, and it sounds like...
Arm spear.
You get the idea. You know the thing that in 2020, the thing that people shooting their arm.
You follow the same rules that I do after being deplatformed. I didn't follow those rules before being deplatformed, of course. Actually, no, I did. And then they flagged me for a video from 2012 where I had a guy called Zan the Wise Old Man, and they flagged me for anti-Jewish content.
Oh.
Lost.
How ironic that you entered the show like that.
It's a topsy-turvy world. And I think I lost about 6,000 broadcasts with about 2,000 people who are basically like the leaders of the truth movement, everywhere from David Icke and Mark Passio on down. And we had, I think, a crisis, personal crisis when you get deplatformed. And I was talking to Dr. Rima Lebo's friend Ralph Fusatola, and he taught me a new term called bibliomancy. I mean, I've heard of necromancy, which means talking to the dead. Bibliomancy means talking to a book, which means you ask a book a question and then you read it and the book will give you the answer. And I was like, that's interesting. So why don't we try cinemancy, where I ask a question and then I watch a movie and try and find the answer. And the movie that came on was No Country for Old Men. And near the end of it, the hero was talking to his father, and his father's had his legs cut off by a drunk driver. And he was telling him, boy, after I lost my legs, I nearly killed myself trying to get my mobility back, trying to claim back what I'd lost. Sooner or later, son, you got to realize that you have to put a tourniquet on that wound and get on with your life. And that's what I did.
That's it.
So 2012, you've been making content since then, or did you start before?
2007.
So
2007.
So I actually came across you. It was my idea to actually bring you on the show. I've been listening to your content for years, Vinny. I actually first heard of you when you phoned into Mark Passio's show for the first time, and then I sort of realised. And do you want to just give a quick rundown of your life story? Didn't you get in trouble with the Soviet Union's officials back in the day for selling some Mary Jane?
Way back in the day. This was pre-activism. In fact, you know what they say, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So when the police busted me, they said, well, if you're honest with us, we'll go easy on you. So I said, oh, okay, I'll be a drug dealer for about 6 months. I've been selling about an ounce of weed a week for about $400. And they go, oh, okay. And then they made up evidence, and they said that I'd sold $48,000 worth of cannabis, even though they only caught me with 13 grams, which is less than half an ounce. And I was facing up to 8 years in prison for a first offence. No diversion possible in New Zealand. If you get a first offence, you can just get.
What year was this, Vinny?
Okay, this was 2000. What I call fuck's sake 04 or 04 fuck's sake, And just basically, I realized something quite profound there, as well as developing complex post-traumatic stress, which I didn't actually understand what it was until I think many years later, when Evelyn Gilbert from Aotearoa Wider Perspective, who also suffered severe CPTSD after 9/11, because she was a special effects artist, and these gangsters came in to her neighborhood in the Netherlands and started taking over all the buildings and throwing people out and threatening people that they wouldn't do stuff. And she's very traumatized by it. But she managed to find a whole bunch of coping mechanisms, and she began to understand complex post-traumatic stress in a way that maybe perhaps I never will, because she's not with us anymore. And I think that to a large degree, what causes it is not having control of your life for 1 to 6 months, depending on the strength of the individual. And I think what happened was my nervous system, as it happened to almost everybody in the truth movement, you can't come to the truth except through trauma. This is what I know to be true. Nobody who believes as we do has never suffered under the hands of the system, because otherwise you wouldn't have the motivation to do anything about it, would you? You'd be quite happy drinking another beer, having another ciggy, shagging another girl, watching another movie, listening to another song, watching another freaking game that you're not on the field on while you're really obese. It's just, you have the ability to enjoy things quite easily, unless you realize that there's something deeper and much darker afoot. And you won't understand that unless you've had the darkness over you. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So a lot of people, I think it was Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero Radio. He said to me during a webcast that we were doing with the other Ground Zero Radio hosts that I'm considered a therapist, right? And I think that the reason for that is because the vast majority of us talk radio show hosts are self-aggrandizing, slightly narcissistic, and what have you. Now, there's two types of narcissism. There's the Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali type narcissist, guys who are totally full of themselves and can totally back that shit up. And then there are, and then there are the regular narcissistic, psychopathic kind of people who really don't care. They really don't care about anybody other than themselves, and they're full of shit, right? And unfortunately, this is a great dynamic to get into because a lot of times we label everybody and we say that you've got these personality traits and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, look at their work. Okay, let's say Vinny Eastwood is a narcissistic, self-aggrandizing dick. Okay, sure, absolutely. We've got the evidence. What has he done? Well, he's talked to thousands of traumatized people and helped many members of his audience, perhaps hundreds and thousands of them over the years. Many millions of people have seen the show. And a lot of them have said, I listened to the show when I was thinking about committing suicide. And the show was so bad that I decided to live. Okay, so...
Vinny, can I just ask you, do you think that narcissist... that was a good one. Do you think narcissist is possibly like the most overused word of 2023?
Yeah, and the who was it? Dr. Sam Vaknin, who's the guy who actually wrote the book. Like all the terms that modern psychology uses about narcissism, hoovering, gaslighting, all of that kind of thing. He came up with a lot of these terms, and he says that the worst thing you can possibly do to a narcissist, and the stupidest thing you can possibly do, is call them a narcissist. And expect that that's going to hurt their feelings or change who they are or make them look at themselves or something of that nature. And that's just not a smart move. It's like calling a murderer because suddenly now they know that you know, right? And I feel...
It's like calling Lord Schwab and Bill Gates a genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
Probably a compliment.
They don't care, all right? This is what Sam told me, is that they don't have an ego. Right. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, ego means sense of self. Now, Vinny, you know who you are. You've got a sense of self. And if I tell you something that's totally untrue and totally mean, you'll have an emotional reaction and you'll get maybe upset or angry or sad or something like that as a result of my abuse. However, if you did not have that sense of self, if you just make up who you are on a daily basis, people can say anything to you in any way, and you won't feel a thing. That's how dangerous these people are, because it means that words mean nothing. They say that the only cure for psychopathy is a bullet. And if you want to destroy a psychopath, bring 2 body bags. Anybody's ever gone up against a psychopath and really tried to destroy them, and I've done this to 2 psychopaths in my career. I probably won't do a third. You lose everything, right? They know exactly how to mess with you because they've been messing with people for their entire lives. They're
That's
professionals at it. Yeah. It's just like, okay, how do you do this? And the ancient Native American custom, South American custom, is if you are experiencing a curse, cut off all contact with the person who cursed you. This is where the whole narcissistic abuse thing comes into the no contact sphere. So if you do have those people in your life, you know, they're abusive, they're nasty, they make things up, they lie, they sow chaos wherever they go, never talk to them again. I've spoken to countless people over the years who used to be the best event manager or the best bartender or something like that, usually in hospitality. And they said that they quit their job. And I asked, why? You've been doing it for so long. May I just ask you, by chance, did some psychopathic, nasty person come into your industry and ruin it for you so that you can't work in that industry anymore? Because every time you do, you're simply reminded of the abuse and the frustration that you felt working for these pieces of crap. And every single time they say yes. It's because these people are a disease, all right? They cause dis-ease in society. And I liken it, you know how in a fractal, everything's just a larger or smaller version of everything else. I remember one time we were looking at, what was it, antioxidants. I didn't know what antioxidant mean. What does that mean? Well, the reason human beings die and age is the same reason why machines rust and die themselves. It's called oxidation. And what causes it is these creatures called free radicals. And how it works on the micro scale is you've got this beautiful little cell, and he's got some electrons, and he's running around merrily and freely. And all of a sudden, this free radical comes along and goes, "Hey, buddy. Wow, you're so talented. Man, I think you could be a big star. I noticed that you've got some spare electrons there. Do you mind if I just snatch him off you?" And then the cell's all of a sudden really traumatized. And then it's just like, oh my goodness, what happened to this little guy? And there's these other creatures called antioxidants. And they see this little cell floating around, damaged, and he comes over and he's just... And it's just like, "Hey, buddy, what happened to you?" And he goes, "Well, there was this guy, and I thought he was my friend, and he thought I was really talented and beautiful, and then he took my electrons." And it's just, "Hey, it's okay, buddy, it's okay. Look, I've got some spare electrons here. You can have them." And the cell's like, "Really?" It's like, "Yeah." "Oh my God, you just like restored my faith in humanity and everything. How can I ever repay you?" And the antioxidant says, "You'll never have to." The micro and the macro, on the cellular level and in society, some of us are cells, some of us are free radicals, and some of us are antioxidants. We give of ourselves so that others don't have to suffer their pain anymore.
Wow.
Profound words.
That's really deep.
Vinny Eastwood, ladies and gentlemen.
I didn't know you were going there with that. That's very
No, I
interesting. So people are either a cell, a free radical, or an antioxidant. I think we can all see who the free radicals are at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been at this since, did you say 2007? You started making content. So did you, on the run up to the greatest apocalypse ever, which officially kicked off in 2020, did you feel a build up of energy late 2018, 2019? Did you have any forewarnings or any ideas about what was going to happen? Did you feel the build up of energy before 2020?
In 2019,
no,
because I'd been exposing the V fraud since 2008 during the swine debacle.
Funny how all this is just in Commonwealth countries, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's reasons for that I'll get to in a minute. But the longer you do this, the more you start to see patterns emerge over and over and over again. And if you've been doing it for long enough, the element of surprise is reduced somewhat. The element of shock is almost gone. You become what they call in journalism jaded. Jaded means that you have been exposed to so much stimulus, massive stimulus, for so long that it loses its effect on you. And that's why these journalists are often such cynical bastards like me, because this world is so depressing and frustrating and enraging when you see it for what it really is. And then you realize that it can't actually change. It is the way it is, and it won't just change overnight. So did I feel a buildup of energy? It seemed like natural progression to me, because every single year there was a big media spectacle about some new thing that was going around, and brand new pharmaceutical companies have come up with something that'll help you with it, and that was every year since 2008 that I'd been watching it. They just give it different names: swine, Zika, whatever it is,
Bird.
Ebola, you know. And so you look at how they use progress. They take 2 steps forward every single time. They never get their end goal, but they always get a few goals accomplished every time that they do something. By the time that 2020 rolled around, they were very well prepared. They'd indoctrinated the public over successive decades of propaganda, and they had penetrated the world's governments in order to basically, it's called what Penny Bright said was state capture corruption. This is when private influence gets its hold on your parliament, and then they're able to dictate at the policy level what measures get implemented. And as Klaus said,
we've penetrated basically every cabinet in the world.
That was a good cabinet, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
everybody loves a good cabinet, especially if it is filled with adrenochrome.
And this concept, right? If you're heading into 2020, I was heading into it as a vastly different person to the vast majority of people in New Zealand. Because up to that point, I think it was from 2007 to maybe 2018, when Jacinda Ardern was elected as the Prime Minister of New Zealand, I had, I think, done about 4,500 shows at that point. Wow. Online with international guests on American
the thing is,
networks.
When I first started listening to Vinny, right, you were like New Zealand hasn't got a big population, mate. Right, Vinny was pretty much a fucking lone
Is he basically
ranger.
the King David Icke of New Zealand?
For sure,
you're King
mate,
David of New Zealand. Holy
for
shit!
For sure, like he was like for sure one of the only people there.
Well, if you've put out thousands of broadcasts already, that's
like
a
Vinny's,
prestige
like
level.
Vinny, you're really high on morality. I know you talk a lot about natural law and stuff like that, and that's why I think I really respect Vinny when I first started, because he was the only motherfucker who was talking about this stuff in his neck of the woods.
Yeah, and for a long time it was very, very lonely. I got to tell you guys, when you're the one in 5 million who has a radio show that's internationally recognized, and you're doing all these interviews with these big guests, and you're covering the news, and you're the one guy doing it, and you have to do all the tech stuff behind, right? And tomorrow,
and you got the COVID union up your ass for selling a bit of green.
And tomorrow we're going to do a fundraiser at Shooter's Bar in Kingsland for Counterspin Media and Free NZ Media, who've only existed since like 2021 or something like that, and they have absolutely dwarfed me because they never got deplatformed, right? As soon as you get deplatformed, all your 65,000 subscribers and 11 million views and 28 million comments disappear, and there's no track record of your existence, and nobody ever gets notified that you've been deleted, and nobody knows how to search Vinny Eastwood online to find my website to realize that I've still been broadcasting. So I've had people who said, "Oh, Vinny, I was listening to you back in 2018. What happened to you?" It's just like, you haven't listened to me since 2018 because you didn't bother to Google Vinny Eastwood and see that my show is there and I'm still doing shows, right? So anyway, Counterspin Media and Free NZ have been doing a bang-up job, and the reason why they've been doing a bang-up job isn't necessarily because of the grace and the fantastic presentation style of Liz Gunn of Free NZ Media, or the hardcore facts and evidence of Hannah Spera and Calvin Alt from Counterspin, who've just been invited to Russia. The reason for it is because of these guys. Okay, this is a keyboard that I used back in the day, and I've engraved it with the Exposing Scumbaggery Awards, Counterspin Media 2024, from Vinny Eastwood. Okay, this is my gift to Counterspin Media's guy who does all the tech, Justin. He doesn't get recognized as much as he does, and Counterspin would not be what it is without him. And I've got a second one here for Jonathan Clark, who is Liz Gunn's cameraman. It's the people behind the scenes who do things without recognition, who we owe our careers to a large degree. They do the work that cannot be done by itself. And as somebody who's been a one-man band for almost all this time, I recognize the work that goes in and how hard it is to help other people get their story out, which is why on this keyboard that's mounted on this bit of wood, you'll notice that there is no escape key.
So that's a real physical award that you've constructed and you're going to hand out. I love that, mate. That's really cool.
Yeah,
He's an awesome guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit in awe of this dude already.
I mean, you got to have love, and you've got to show people that you care. I think that the reason why people are so alone and so depressed and so prone to suicide and rage attacks and things of that nature is because they get the impression that nobody actually really cares. Like I remember I was at a mate's place in, I think it might have been 2014 or something like that. And most of the people had gone home from the party. I was just talking to this one guy who was from France, and he told me that on his 21st birthday, he had to leave the party at about maybe 7 o'clock at night and fly 2 hours south from Auckland to Wellington to see his father and to take him off of life support on his 21st birthday. And I just burst into tears because that was so horrible. And you know what he said to me after I started crying when he told me that? He said, "Thank you." Why did he say thank you? Because he had told this story probably to 10, 20, 30 other people, and none of them had ever had an emotional reaction that actually felt like they actually gave a shit.
Or even listened.
Yeah. That's, I think, probably the one of the most important things about being a talk radio show host. Maybe one of the most important things in life is to give a fuck.
Empathy.
Absolutely, mate. We do something similar. We try and do it once a month. We call it customer services, and we just open up the phone lines either on Skype, and we've got a physical phone here in the studio, and we just let people phone up and tell their story. It obviously started in lockdown. We felt it was our duty to sort of provide that space, because apart from that, we wanted to hear from people. You know, we obviously get to read the comment section when we do these live broadcasts, but it was a great exercise for us to have that interface with the audience, but also it's like you mentioned earlier, the word therapy. It's definitely like a group therapy session.
Because we had a myriad of nations, people from myriad of nations.
New Zealand, Australia, all over Europe, people calling up from Canada.
I think the only place we didn't have was like China.
Yeah, basically it was China. I don't think anyone from Africa or
couldn't get over the Great Firewall.
Yeah, so it's really important, and you talk about people saying that they might have topped themselves if they hadn't had your show. We've had emails and texts exactly the same, and for people on the outside that maybe aren't on board with our point of view, they might think that's a bullshit or cringe, but it's really goddamn true. The amount of contact we've had from people saying, I haven't got anyone around me that looks at the world and sees it like the way you guys do. So on a Friday night to be able to tune in was very special for us, and it's great to hear that obviously you're fulfilling the same role, obviously on a much larger scale than we are, and have been for a while. So that's really good to hear, mate.
Just to hear that what is happening to you, you don't deserve, and it's not your fault, and there are other people going through it too, and you're not alone, and you are loved. Just to be able to hear or intuit that that's the way somebody else feels can take the darkness away. And that's what humor is about. That's why they call it making light. Okay, because we live in so much darkness all the time. And so you have to make jokes about it. This is what we call trench humor, gallows humor. When you are in war, and believe me, we're in war. It's a psychological war. We're not being shot at with conventional weapons. We're being shot at with psychological warfare, with psychotronic weapons. We're being bathed with Wi-Fi radiation, which destroys our nervous system, our so-called immune system, which is really just a terrain theory kind of distortion. But the idea behind caring about other people and combining that with humor is actually a physiological reason why it's important. So when you're thinking about something, really thinking, that's black and white, that's numbers, that's the domain of your prefrontal cortex. That does most of your thinking. That's your most evolved part of your brain. When you've been thinking about something for too long, however, and if it's stressful information to boot, you will get out of that alpha wave state and you will lax back into your mammalian cortex, which is your thing that governs your social abilities, your emotions, really. So you're not thinking about the statistics in a analytical format anymore. You're actually allowing the statistics to emotionally affect you. When you tell a joke, on the other hand, and it's actually funny and they laugh, more to the point, it does a reset of that brain function. So stress, laugh, boom, straight back into being able to understand the information. So in this way, people who listen to the shows of comedians, provided those comedians are actually really trying to teach someone, like the late Bill Hicks or the late George Carlin or the not dead yet Steve Hughes, the reason why they're able to teach in such a manner that is absorbing and you really take away from it is because they are able to reset your brain on a regular basis to allow you to absorb the information in an analytical way. That's the basic physiology of why human beings use humor when they're stressed. And that's why we all have to be using it.
So Vinny, you don't just broadcast on your radios, do you? You know, you don't just do the Vinny Eastwood show with your humour and stuff like that. So we've got a couple of videos lined up, Vinny. We don't have to play all of it, but I thought we'd just give a little demonstration of Vinny going out, spreading.
You've handpicked these, right?
Yeah, I've handpicked these. Just spreading a bit of humour. And sort of rallying the
I'm interested to see this, okay.
So if you just want to press play, Lance, on the first bit. Again, we don't have to play all of it.
I saw a picture of these two on Facebook and it said, if Kanye and, what was the name, Kardashian were drowning, what kind of sandwich would you make? TPPA! Oh, it's a TPP, eh? Let's see if we can do it operatic. TPPA! TPPA! Oh, wait, I'll do it in the opera voice and you're going to go, no freaking way! TPPA! 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 Hey, I'm actually protesting the TPPA through a PA. It's interesting, eh? I say TPPA, you say no way! TPPA! No way! Come on, TPPA! No way! How angry does this make you that your country's being sold out without your consent? TPPA! No way! In an angry voice, TPPA! No way! I didn't even say TPPA, I just went like you're scolding a child, TPPA! No way! Oh, TPPA! No way! Oh, it's a TPP, eh? It's easy to sound this angry when you realise how dangerous the TPPA is. You know, listen to this. TPPA! Give us a roar, ladies and gentlemen, like a kitty! Roar!
First of all, what is TPPA? That one went over my head. That was great, by the way.
It was the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, where 600 major international corporations met in secret to decide what would and wouldn't be legal. For example, if any government passed any law that disadvantaged any of those 600 companies, financially speaking, they would then be entitled to compensation by the government for the end of time. For every single dollar they lost. So if they say
compensation.
Yeah, that's right. If you say you make cigarettes harder to sell or something of that nature, whatever they didn't sell, you have to pay for them now forever. Okay, and that's what the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement basically was. It was the European Economic Agreement, the EEC, European Economic Community, how it morphed into the EU because they use corporate structures and then a governance structure on top of that. They build the framework with the corporates, then they build the government. So that was basically what the TPPA was doing to the oceanic region. And in order to mold us into, I believe it was part of the 10 kingdoms, as it says in the Bible, allegedly.
Sounds a bit like what the WF's trying to do with the whole world at the moment. What year was that, Vinny?
That was probably about 2014, I believe. That was during the reign of the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, John Key, former Federal Reserve banker, on the board of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and he was the head of the European bond and derivative trade. And in 2008, when he was elected prime minister, he said that he was going to save us from the financial crisis, which was caused by derivatives that he was in charge of.
And this was all while the Great Reset was merely a twinkle in Lord Schwab's eye. Back in 2008, you're a true veteran on the battlefield, mate. I had no idea.
So I have got another video which I'd like to show. So we've just shown.
Oh, sorry, one second.
Go.
Behind you, it says Orwell Fiction 1984. Guess what year I was born?
1984.
Sorry, continue.
So that actually is my lovely Mrs. protest sign from back in 2020.
Said, make Orwell fiction again.
Seen it before.
That was her protest sign back in 2020. So yeah.
Oh, what a good missus.
We have got another video which I have.
Okay.
Vinny. So again, this isn't a new video. So this is a little taste of Vinny's journalism style. It's very Alex Jones-esque. Yeah. He likes to get
in your face,
right up in people's face. And so, do you want to just hit the video?
Yeah,
It's
sure.
only
I'm
a couple of minutes
forward
long.
to this already.
Yeah.
I got that mother. Oh yeah.
Guilty. Yes, I am.
Today is the first day of history in New Zealand for politics, for ending political corruption.
Capital crime, I'm guilty. Guilty. I'm doing the time. I'm guilty. Guilty. Charged by the law. I'm guilty of the worst crimes you ever saw. I break up.
Are you trying to run? Why are you trying to run, John? Come on, where are you going, mate? Being held accountable for crimes is something you should be proud of, not something you run from, sir. Hewlett Wealth Management, you, Peter Hewlett, and Don Brash signed the same wrongful statements. Peter Hewlett went to jail, you, John Banks, and Don Brash got nothing. What's the difference between John Banks and a rat with a gold tooth? What? The gold tooth. Hey Banksy, come on mate, are you getting enough exercise? Is running from justice good for you? Getting your heart rate up there? Try speed walking. If you swing your arms at the same time, you move about 25% faster and burn extra body fat. Apparently corruption latches onto your bones like a virus and makes you a little bit more plump. Why did you say to the police that you wanted the checks split? Why did you admit that to them and then maintain your innocence? Unless you're a liar, of course. The last mandate John Key had was with John Banks. We'd like to put you on the tip of the iceberg and float you into the tropics with the Fukushima radiation. Hopefully your hair will fall out so people won't trust you more, because apparently a full head of hair is good for business. And again, I reiterate, ladies and gentlemen sitting in the flats upstairs, what is the difference between John Banks and a rat with a gold tooth? You guessed it, the gold tooth. Look at him, he just keeps going. He's pretty nimble for an elf, isn't he? Hey! Now keep going. Thanks, Banksy. Thank you very much. You have yourself a fabulous day and a wonderful weekend in curfew, you corrupt scum! Frickin' Banksy. This has been Eastwood, Mr. News. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, that is brilliant.
So as you can
Brilliant
see, ladies
work.
and gentlemen, Vinny Eastwood likes to cause a bit of a stir when he's out in public, if necessary.
I mean, how else will I get the attention? You know, that's another thing. You have to be seen to be doing something. All right, it's all very well. It's all very well to go out and do the right thing, but it's like they say in those feminist T-shirts: if a man speaks his mind in a forest and no woman hears him, is he still wrong? And the and so the whole idea is you actually have to be seen to be doing something, because I believe it was the Milgram studies. They had this question in the United States after World War II: how did Nazi Germany get the most advanced Western civilization at that time, the German people, to act like such bloody Nazis? And they figured out
It's a hell of a lot of mind control, Vinny.
Well, they conducted an experiment. They had somebody from Harvard University wearing a white lab coat, telling you to electrocute the person on the other side of the smoked glass. You can't see who they are. And electrocute them every time they get something wrong. And every time they get something wrong, the charge goes up to the point where it's a lethal dose. And they found that just because somebody in a white lab coat from a prestigious university called Harvard told you to kill somebody, 90% of people would. Now, the second part of the experiment, the first part's pretty well known. Second part of the experiment is very much underground. A lot of people don't know this. They then took those 10% of people who refused to deliver these electric shocks and showed them refusing to deliver the electric shocks to the next people that were coming in the experiment. And the most amazing thing happened after seeing somebody with the balls to say no to authority.
The magic word.
It gave them the courage to do it too.
It's amazing.
That's
isn't it?
why.
That's because everyone's in a fucking cult. They have to do what they live in a fucking cult.
Do you have some form of culture? Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
Are you right? That's
So
why
Vinny,
they call it
Vinny,
that.
before we go any further, so
Well, may I? I just want to finish
go on.
this
Sorry,
point as well.
sorry.
Because it's important here. So cult indoctrination procedures are actually quite straightforward. You will experience them in school, the workforce, maybe even parents to a degree.
Media.
The first cult that you will be indoctrinated into is your cult, because as a baby, you give your parents basic cult indoctrination procedures. Sleep deprivation, repetition of meaningless tasks that don't really take them anywhere, kind of like frustration and trauma, okay, grand difficulty, and a central doctrine that can't be questioned, which is, I have to keep this baby alive, okay? So that's why parents, when you criticize their children or something like that, they seem to react much like a cult member who you are criticizing the religion of.
Interesting.
And after you grow up, after coming out of the cult that you've created, that your parents are your cult members, you get cult indoctrinated yourself.
It's
You have
interesting,
to get
it's
up
interesting
early.
because you've recently become a father, haven't you, Vinny?
Oh, I mean, not that recently. My daughter's,
no.
I think, nearly 4 years old now.
Yeah.
But the cult indoctrination procedures are basically this, and get up early, isolate you from your family and friends, give you mindless, boring repetition, have a central authority figure and a central doctrine that you can't question, and a prize that gets dangled in front of you with fluorescent lighting that is not too bright and not too dark, so that it puts you into a sort of dreamlike, suggestible state, and people who talk in a monotone that is really slow, that puts you to sleep. That is cult indoctrination techniques. What it does is it shuts down all the parts of the brain that govern your independence and your, what they call, agency, your ability to create your own path with your mind. Now, some people, the programming doesn't take, but they are still affected by it nonetheless. We're all members of some kind of cult, and unless you're aware of these methodologies, it will be difficult to recognize it when other people are being indoctrinated into one, or when they're acting like one.
That's it.
What were you going to say, Andy?
I was going to actually say, as Vinny causes such a stir when he's out, I mean, you two have got something in common. I don't think that Vinny knows about your history. I mean, you caused a bit of a stir in public, didn't you?
Well, that was going to be what I was going to ask next, because obviously we're talking about cults, and I guess the big cult, or the big cult move, was the event of 2020, and I've just seen what you got up to quite a few years before that. I had a go at something similar in 2020, and I was speaking wherever there was a microphone or a speakerphone in a crowd during lockdowns, basically, trying to bring a bit of sort of like humour to the hard-hitting shit that I was talking about as well. And I got in a lot of trouble, mate. Basically, I had police coming to not even to my house.
Yeah, we were
broadcasting here one Friday night. The police went to my parents' house, who were in their 70s. I've lived there for over 15 years, and threatened them that I would be arrested if I carried on speaking at these lockdown protests. And there was a big operation. I was detained for 23 hours. I was kept on bail for...
You were invited to speak, weren't you? Somewhere a good couple of hours away.
Yeah, in another county. And there was police drones there waiting for me when I got there. Got arrested, 23 hours in a cell, on bail for 10 months. Couldn't go anywhere near a protest or a microphone without people, the uniformed policemen coming up to me and saying, "Lance, where are you going? What are you doing?"
That was just you walking through Bournemouth town centre,
while
wasn't it?
people were on a microphone saying, "Stand up, take your freedoms back, fuck the police," and stuff like that. I couldn't go anywhere near the microphone. Long story short, Vinny, when I finally got to court, and against all advice, we crowdfunded a barrister, and we went to court, and we pleaded not guilty, and we were the first people, me and my co-defendant Shelley Tasker, to get not guilty in the UK under the COVID Act. So.
Did you just say the C word?
Oh shit! I just broke our own rule there, didn't I?
He meant Novid.
So
we didn't say that.
So Vinny, you've got a similar story, haven't you? Because it's only this year that you've been. Was it this year or the end of last year that you've got? You had to go to court to appear in front of the COVID Union.
I guess you must have had some problems.
Long story short. The number one and number two alternative media personalities in New Zealand in 2021 was Billy TK and me. And we worked together. We ran a political campaign in 2020 against the Ardern government, which was the most successful conspiracy theory-based party in history. Had the biggest membership out of any party that has ever existed in this nation's history, faster than has ever been done, and got more media coverage of the leader, Billy TK, than any other freedom leader has ever had, or, to my opinion, probably ever will. And then when the lockdowns started happening, we knew that people were going to kill themselves. We knew that people were going to lose their businesses.
Yeah.
We knew that it was going to traumatize children. And so we went out and protested this. And as we were on our drive to Auckland, Billy asked me, "Vinny, do you think we're going to get arrested?" I went, "Yep." And he go, "Well, why are we doing this then?" And I said, "Well, there's an old saying, Billy, how do you expose a fascist? by making them act like it.
Yes. Boom.
We protested with less than 100 people for less than 45 minutes. Then they came in and they took Billy TK. 5 minutes later, they came in and they took me. They held us in solitary confinement at Mount Eden Prison for 28 hours. And this was in lockdown, of course. Then when we got our bail conditions, we were banned from protesting, just as you were.
Exactly
and we were banned from accessing the internet, banned banned from leaving the home, banned from having a mobile capable device. Okay, so they took our phones. They held them for 9 months. About a month after the arrest, we asked for the phones back, and they said, "Sorry, we actually have to send them down to Wellington for the police investigations unit to crack these phones." Billy's phone had no password on it. You just open it; it's open.
So it didn't need cracking.
They could have just opened it straight away.
And Constable Derek Chung, who was the person who charged us with the breach of the search and surveillance
who
bill.
was that, Vinny? Can you just say that name again?
Constable Derek Chung
Thank you.
the Mount Eden police station threatened us with up to 3 months in prison for refusing to provide our passwords while we were in custody, trying to remain with our right to remain silent. Now, in New Zealand, that's illegal. Under the search and surveillance bill, which I protested against in 2011, they passed this legislation. So we had to suffer, I think, under these bail conditions in total for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of not even being able to answer so much as an email or anything of that nature. It was absolutely brutal because directly after you get arrested, everybody wants to contact you, everybody wants to interview you, and then 6 weeks after, everybody's forgotten about it and they're on to the next thing.
That's very strategic, isn't it? Yeah.
So Billy and I went from the number 1 and number 2, and virtually the only people in New Zealand who were actually speaking the truth about anything in any significant way, we got down to about maybe number 20 or 30 on the list, because in the 6 weeks that we were unable to get on the internet, I think maybe 2 to 3 dozen other alternative media platforms started up. And I think within 6 weeks, Chantel Baker, for example, a wonderful young girl going out there trying to speak the truth in her own way, she had a larger following in that 6 week period than I had amassed in the last 14 years at that time. Okay, so it was a massive blow to us financially, because obviously if your income is based upon your online work and they ban you from accessing the internet, you messed up. You're in trouble. So in total, it took 6 weeks to get those bail conditions removed, and we still were banned from protesting. So we missed out on the giant Wellington protest where we would have contributed massively. And 28 months later, I think just before Christmas of last year, I got a call from the lawyer saying, "Yeah, Vinny, they've let you go, discharged with conviction." Okay, and I said, "Discharged with conviction? That's how my son got here."
What does that mean, though, with conviction? Does that mean you got convicted?
Yeah, I am officially guilty of standing within 2 meters of another person.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what's really crazy, Vinny? But just back to draw a parallel with my story. When we finally went to court, and my barrister that we paid for had actually read through the Soviet Union Act, which is about this thick, which we had apparently been arrested under, and it included standing too close to people and stuff like that. The funny thing is that inside the Act, the Coronavirus Act that we were convicted under, it actually protects your right to protest against said Soviet Union.
So similar in this thing, sorry to interrupt, but a very important point here. In New Zealand, very similar. You've got the Bill of Rights Act, right to protest, freedom of speech, etc. And the COVID legislation, which was passed at 4 o'clock in the morning without opposition, with only 3 people or so.
Wasn't that exactly the same as this country? Yeah.
But what Vinny said,
They have a plan, and they do it everywhere.
There's a pattern emerging, Vincent.
And so this concept that we have here, that you've got rights and things of that nature, there's a clause in it. I believe it's section 13A dash 1.2 or something like that, that says that this legislation does not restrict the Bill of Rights Act. All right.
Yep.
And then you go to that section of the Bill of Rights Act. What does it say? It says you've got all these rights unless we say you don't. All right.
The thing is,
so they're already built in.
Because the thing is, right, guys, you've got to remember that they had to have those COVID rules written in, because without that, you couldn't have had all the BLM protests smashing up half of fucking the United States of America.
But what it goes to show is that obviously the arresting police that had spent something like £100,000 on this surveillance thing on me, and obviously the operation to arrest me, the arresting police didn't know what the law was. Neither did the judge. If we hadn't have got that barrister to actually read the Soviet Union rule book from front to back, we might have never found that clause.
That's what I'm saying.
It was worth every penny. I believe it cost £3.3 thousand for this barrister.
So there's
and we got a
33.
really, really good price, because we know how expensive barristers are. Thank God I didn't listen to many people's advice to not trust barristers and lawyers and go in there and represent myself and use common law. Because you know what a lot of people said? It doesn't matter. These people work for the bar, then they'll never work for you. But you know what I say? If that was the case, then high-level criminals would never spend shitloads of money on lawyers to get them off. Because at the end of the day, they're working for the people that pay them.
Because they're satanic as fuck.
Because it's service to self. If you can charge ridiculous amounts an hour, you can charge £1,000 an hour because you've got a reputation for finding the best loopholes to get people off.
You essentially paid a barrister to read the fine print.
To read the small print. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Now that I know it was there, I could have done it myself.
And that's the going rate, £3,300.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the going rate.
I've got a quote on my wall from Tom Waits in 1976. The large print giveth, and the small print taketh away.
Yes.
And this is something interesting about lawyers. A woman walks into a lawyer and she says, "How much do you charge an hour?" He says, "I don't charge by the hour. I charge $1,000 for 3 questions." She goes, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah. What's your third question?"
I like that. I like that a lot. So now that 2020 has happened, you've made a stand, like many others did, and we've seen all of these new media stations pop up, like you just mentioned, and it's something that we've obviously noticed as well. We are one of those stations. I decided to start officially making these videos in 2020, and then we decided to do the live stream because,
however,
I couldn't speak in public anymore.
I will just interrupt you there, right? Yeah. It was suggested to you
for many years to make content because I've been researching this for the best part of 20 years. But now post the rise and the somewhat fall of the Soviet Union, as we coin it, Vinny. Now we're in this sort of like post-pandemic sphere.
Waiting for stage 2.
What are you saying about all of this new media that's popping up? Are you seeing there's sort of like red flags on certain people within alternative media, within the truth movement?
It's a tough one. So to find agents, like people who are actual provocateurs, people who are actually working for the government and stuff like that is actually a lot more difficult than it sounds. Correct. And so one element that I have noticed that I am certain about, this has been clarified by a truther friend of mine named Brent, who drives trains for a living, who organised to prevent all the rest of the people under his wing getting jabbed when the time was right, and he did. He managed to save some of his colleagues' lives with his efforts there, and I really respect him. And he told me that there's a lot of people in the truth movement who are on what he calls the truther short bus, or who have what they call truther training wheels. Okay. And I came up with this question. Okay. For example, you know what you know, and you know how multifaceted it is, like what 360 subjects, that are surrounding you, all these different methods of enslavement, and you've done what you call the 10,000 hours. In order to become a doctor or a professor or something of that nature requires 10,000 hours of study.
Rule of
That's
thumb.
Expert.
Yeah. That's you by yourself, watching documentaries, listening to podcasts, interviewing people, investigating, so on and so forth for 10,000 hours before you've even got so much as an inkling of what's really going on in the world. Most people in the truth movement have not done their 10,000 hours.
Yes.
When you say Freemason, they run into it. Freemasons everywhere. Oh, they're so scary and stuff like that. When you say aliens, they go, "Oh, that's crazy." Blah, 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 blah. When you say climate change, it's like, "Oh, but we need to be sustainable." And these are people who are allegedly calling themselves truthers.
And when you say flat Earth, they open their mouth and say, "Fucking load it up."
Yeah, I mean that's what was asked of me one time on a radio show. So, Vinny, is the Earth flat? Or is it round? Give it to us straight. and I was,
and I went this argument for forever. Finish it.
and I went.
Finish it.
Well, I think it's a holographic fractal that's being projected by collective consciousness, experiencing itself subjectively.
This is a holographic.
And they were like, whoa, and. The whole concept of this is holographics. People don't really know what that means. They might have thought that they saw some kind of a display on a movie that they were watching when they're doing a planning ceremony. That's not what holographics is. Holographics is a storage of information construct, more or less. It's different to a hard drive. If I take a picture of you, put it on a hard drive, delete it, picture's gone. If I take a picture of you, embed it in a hologram, and then try to delete it, the picture's still there. The whole picture is just half the resolution now. Try to delete it again. It's only half the resolution. Information is like energy. Everything that you say, everything that you do is remembered forever in some small way that's still there in its entirety. It's somewhat unresolved, right? That's the first layer of reality. That's what really governs the information behind everything we do. This is why life and what you say and what you do is so utterly important to the fabric of reality itself, because underneath this first layer is the fractal. If you look inside your finger, you'll see that it's made up of cells. If you look inside those cells, you'll see they're made up of other ones. This guy in 1914, I believe, created a granite crystal microscope that was able to get 60,000 times magnification. Current electrostatic microscopes get about 10,000 times magnification. So you can see the cells, but you can't go inside them and inside those and inside those, where you realize that all cells are built of cells that are built upon cells that are built upon cells, infinitely down the scale, and as above, so below. You might consider yourself a cell on this planet, which is a cell in the galaxy, which is a cell in the universe, which is a cell in a much larger organism we don't have a concept for yet. Infinitely up and infinitely down. And what that means is everything is a larger or smaller version of something else. So this is first two layers of reality. Now, third layer is how you interact with it along with all the other living things. This is what we call collective consciousness. And these guys did a thing called the double slit experiment, where you had these two empty metal slots.
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Yep.
And a photon gun. Okay, so they were going to shoot the photon gun through one of these slots, bang upon the aluminium foil behind it, and see how the particle exploded. And they would be able to figure out something from that. But that's not what happened. Instead of going bang, bang, it went bang! And it turned into this wave pattern on the aluminium foil. They're like, bro, that's cool. Let's see how that happens. And they put a little camera right next to the slot to see as it goes through. And then they ran the experiment again. Bang, bang. Like, whoa. The particle reacted differently because it knew it was being watched.
So Vinny,
it had stage fright. Okay, and if a photon is able to have consciousness in that manner, like it reacts differently to being observed, just like any other organism would, that means that all things have consciousness: photons, neutrons, electrons, morons, all of them. And some to a greater or lesser extent, but consciousness nonetheless. And so that's the next layer. And the final layer here is you experiencing it subjectively. I'm me, you're you. You look at the world through your eyes. When you're taking mushrooms, for example, you start to look at the world through many eyes, through the hive mind, and you start to see yourself from all directions in all aspects. So the question is, if you're just one tiny little cell in the entirety of existence, and everything you do affects the infinite civilizations that live within you and the infinite civilizations that you live within, what is your job in life? The Greeks had an answer for this. They said, your job in life is to plant a tree whose shade you shall never get to sit beneath.
Vinny, now you're talking my language. Yes, I'm glad we've gone here. Have you smoked DMT?
Yeah.
I can tell.
So
I say I know this guy's
I
hit
did.
the inspector.
I did send you the link. Literally 2 weeks ago, Vinny posted a video up on his YouTube of that he had a chat. I forget who it was with Vinny about psychedelics and stuff like that, which is quite ironic because last week's show
we
was
had the
about
plant medicine round table last week, and one thing which I wish I touched on a little bit more last week is how I think, when you start to explore the rabbit hole, Vinny, and you've gone past your government conspiracy level, your international banking,
3-letter agencies,
the agencies, the secret societies, and you start to talk about and you start to question the nature of reality and the realm that we live in. When you can actually marry that with a piece of, I was referring to it as shamanic technology, like a piece of technology where you can sort of like, right, now I would actually like to take off the filter.
You can plug in
from which I'm experiencing this reality, and and all of these things that you can read about when it comes to quantum physics and out of body experiences and spiritual shaman practices and all that kind of stuff. Well, you can actually physically experience that. And that's what I say to people that are doing this research. I think DMT is the final key to the puzzle.
It's the gatekeeper.
And I think what you just said there, I could already tell that I know that this guy's been to the other side because
ironically, I came up with that long before I smoked DMT. Okay, and instead of just smoking DMT and then coming up with that concept, it was, I think, I'd probably say it's about 12 people specifically who had very, very different areas of research that I spoke to. And in the Mayan calendar, they say that there's all of these different colors and all of these different animals and things of that nature, depending on where you're born and how and what have you. And I'm what they call a blue eagle. Now, the whole idea is that you see things from above. You see things that are interconnected. And when you see a solution to a problem, you're able to immediately swoop down and devour it. It's kind of like a personality trait. And there's lots of blue eagles around. And I'm not sure if you can recognize them when you see them. But the interlay, how everything fits and works together, that's what I've been trying to understand for the majority of my life. And so that question is how somebody has done their 10,000 hours and has figured out the universe. You just ask them this question because you're always having conversations with people, but you don't know how much they know and you don't know where this conversation is going to go. So if you start off with this one, it identifies them immediately as somebody who is either awake or not yet. All right. Do you believe the world is a holographic fractal being projected by collective consciousness experiencing itself subjectively? Well, of course. Okay, great. He knows.
The problem is, Vinny, what I found is in recent days, and I'll I'll mention again. I talk about Mark Passio a lot on the show because I'm a firm student of his work and his teachings. Not that I put him on any kind of pedestal because he's no saviour of anyone's, and I think he would enjoy that I just said that about him. He said multiple times that that natural law is the only way for us to get truly free. So if we don't abide by natural law, then we're not going anywhere. Whether this is a holographic construct, a simulation, a flat Earth, a round Earth, it's all irrelevant if we don't abide by natural law.
Yeah, precisely, and the construct really does reinforce that belief. So, first, there's layers of how you interact with reality. I've just told you what the layers of reality. I explained to somebody at a festival, and a guy was trying to interrupt me, and I go, "Excuse me, just 1 minute, bro. I'm just trying to explain the nature of reality to these girls."
Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes, and I'll try and wrap it up.
It will just be a minute, mate. All right. And we said this this concept to these people, and when you are able to understand that interlay, the question is how you actually interact with it. How do you plant that tree that your shade will never get to sit beneath, right? And there's a couple of methodologies. Number one, you've got to understand what construct you're currently inhabiting. You're inhabiting what you call a 5D organic host. So first dimension's a dot, second dimension's a line, third dimension's a box, the fourth dimension's that box moving through time, and the fifth dimension is that box, but it's beyond time and beyond space. That's where all your thoughts are right now while I'm speaking to you, and that's where everything is that you don't actually do. Okay, there's all thoughts. They don't really exist. They're outside of time. They're outside of space. So your job effectively is to come up with a thought in the 5D and then spend your 4D time willing that thought into the three-dimensional reality. Because only there does your thought actually matter. I don't care if you've got a song in your head. I don't care if you've got a script in your head. I don't care if you've got an invention in your head. It doesn't do anybody any good to have these wonderful creations that you could possibly bring into the universe to stay inside your mind. You need to spend your time. You need to make things. You need to bring them into the world, and you need to do things that haven't been done yet. That's the point of your frickin' existence.
And this is why Vinny goes around New Zealand shouting on a microphone, because no one else is doing it.
Someone has to do it. It's a dirty job, but someone has to do it.
That's right. Like sanitation. Back in the day, people used to suffer from polio, scarlet fever, and all myriad of diseases, all of which are waterborne diseases. Waterborne diseases which can no longer breed if there isn't poo mixed in with people's drinking water. So it was plumbers. Plumbers who got rid of those terrible diseases.
First principles,
so simple.
Don't mix poo with your drinking water, please.
Right now, Vinny, you just mentioned thought. Okay, you just mentioned thought, how important thought is, and then it has to be brought into the 3D realm so you can actually apply it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So we were talking about the truther movement earlier. We've touched upon that. So Mark Passio, who's always said that when he was back in the Church of Satan as a priest appointed by Anton LaVey, he was actually he was actually working for a publishing company, right? And he got told immediately when he got in there that by the upper echelons of this publishing company, management, whatever, if that's what you want to call it, he said, "You wait and see what we're going to flood the peasant sphere with the new age ideas of bullshit and fake spirituality that's coming on." And I just wanted to, what were your thoughts on that, Vinny, from the other side of the world, from what we are? Because from what I've seen, everyone's been thinking that they can change the world by sitting on a cushion meditating without actually doing anything and putting it into action in the physical realm.
Well, I think there's two elements here that could sort of need to be explained. And number one is the trivium methodology. Let's say you're looking at a 3D object. How do you know you're looking at a 3D object? How do you know that's a fact? Well, it's got 6 parts to it: up, down, left, right, front, and back. Okay? That's how you know you're looking at a 3D object. How do you know you're looking at a fact, though? You ask the questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. only if you can answer all of those questions about the thing that you're talking about can you actually be assured that you're looking at a fact. Once you have facts, you can make decisions that are actually going to work in terms of the solutions that you're attempting to propose. Now, most people don't want to do this because facts don't care what they believe. Facts don't care what they think. Facts don't care about their hopes. Facts don't care about their dreams.
Facts
and
are
most
truth.
people, truth is immutable, okay? And it is objective. All right. And so if people are incapable of discerning truth by using the trivium methodology in order to be able to have the tools to discern truth, then it is absolutely no surprise to anybody, anywhere, at any time that the whole world is run by liars. Okay. Now, the second part of this is talking about the enforcement of natural law. Now, if you had to sum it up very, very quickly, there is one law of the universe, as Passio says. And again, there's nothing new under the sun. He didn't make this up. This is just the law of the universe. You cannot take that which does not belong to you.
Theft.
Okay? You can't take somebody's property. You can't damage it. You can't trespass on people's property. You can't rape people or assault people or threaten people or tell vicious lies about them. Why? Karmic backlash. Now, the elites of the world figured out a way around this, where if I go and I say murder somebody or rape somebody, that backlash is going to be on me.
They're not feeling the karmic weight.
But if I pay 200 men to go in and rape an entire village, all those men get the karmic backlash, not me.
Because you've paid them in fake money, which doesn't mean anything anyway.
Well, I mean, it's the concept that karmic is a direct link. Okay, so when you've got that problem going on and you are the cause of it, there is an equal and opposite reaction to it. This is why you have soldiers who have a conscience, who go overseas and kill people that they didn't really want to kill, who didn't do anything bad to them and stuff like that. They suffer immensely. They go to the VA, they get themselves their anti-depressant medication, and then they kill themselves or become homeless. And I was talking about Douglas Duane Dietrich, a former historian with the Pentagon. And he told me that when they rotate home, let's say you've got a soldier that cost you, I don't know, between 160,000 US to $1 million to train and equip, and they're really good at it, okay? They are not allowed to come home and just get another job, all right? Because the War Department puts a secret mark on their employment record, which says 08 or 04 or 011 or some kind of number denomination. Now, what those numbers mean to the prospective employer who's got access to this database is this guy's a rapist, this guy is a murderer, this guy is a thief, this guy's a liar, or something like that. And so when the veterans who are very good at their job, who don't want to kill people anymore and work for the machine, come home, they find they can't even get a job pumping gas.
Yeah, they're
which
fucked.
is why, so their only choice is to either A, rotate back into the military to go back and traumatize themselves even further, or become part of the 25% homeless population in the US, which is made up of veterans.
Or there is the third option, Vinny, which is going to be private security and just be an order follower for somebody who's probably worse than the government.
That's a catch-33 situation. Catch-33.
Same difference.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. It's all order following.
Mm-hmm.
The root
Right,
of all
and-
evil.
Yeah, as Passio's enlightened me, order followers are the ones who've carried out all the atrocities in history. It's not the order giver who messes up society. It's the order follower. The people in uniforms are in a cult. Okay, I've interviewed. I remember we were outside Shooter's Bar when the police raided it while we were in the middle of a freedom party, and they confiscated all the alcohol. You know,
I mean,
they filled up.
timing is everything. In the middle of a freedom party. Yeah.
And there've been 3 freedom parties at that venue, but 97 events in total, and the police visited 3 times. Guess which 3 times? All right. And we were standing outside with these people and we were telling them to quit their cult. And I was telling them that the police murder people and get away with it, that the police deal drugs, that the police threaten and assault and destroy people's lives, that they are alcoholics, that they are violent, that they get cult indoctrinated and isolated from their families and given a number, not a name, and a new identity. And one of these cops was like, "Oh, well, I'd love to hear the source of that information." You know,
Give me a source.
this motherfucker had no idea who he was talking to. And I said, oh, okay, well, I got that information from former Constable Buck Rains, former Detective Natasha Suarez, and former police prosecuting Sergeant Grace Hayden. You should have seen the look on the guy's face.
Disgruntled ex-cops with an axe to bear or something like that.
Discredited lots.
Yeah,
Just completely discredited.
Yeah, they were probably kicked off the force. That's the go-to sort of extinguisher comment when you come up with something like that.
And this guy actually had no reply to it. He was just kind of like,
of course he didn't.
Well, you know.
Of course he didn't. He knew he was in over his head.
Yeah, that's the problem. When somebody... I'm 6'6", so I'm remarkably intimidating in person just by the sheer size of me alone. But I'm also very bright and very quick. So if you're trying to oppose me intellectually, there's maybe 1% of the population who might stand a chance. 99% of them, no chance.
I love the set of balls you have on you, mate. It's impressive.
He was the only one in New Zealand, man. I'm telling you now, for years and years, the only one.
But now there are more. And as I showed with the awards that I'm going to be giving out on Sunday to Counterspin Media and a good old thing, the old keyboard warriors. And again, there's no escape key, you'll notice. This whole idea behind knowing who you are, knowing what you're talking about, and not backing down. And it's not about thinking you know what you're talking about. It's about knowing what you're talking about. There's a difference. Because you could watch a YouTube video today and you might go off telling people, hey, everybody, the world's a holographic fractal being projected by collective consciousness.
This brings you back to the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, because when you've done your 10,000, you've done your 10K, we'll call it the 10K from now on.
Yeah, the 10K. Yeah,
One thing that you also learn post 10K is when to go balls deep about the nature of reality, when to be talking about meat and potatoes, obvious government conspiracies and banking scams per se. You know, that's definitely one skill that you get after the 10K, because you can't be going around talking about interdimensional, soul harvesting and that kind of stuff to people that aren't ready for that. So there's a degree of discernment, I think.
If I may, I think that there's a different overlay here, and Dr. Rima Labo told me this, is that I called it the seventh man principle. So a man comes up to you from a particular social circle at a particular time in your life, and this man tells you something that's completely opposite to your very strongly held belief. Of course, you're going to tell them, fuck off, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Sure.
Then a second person at a second different time in your life from a second different social circle says the exact same thing that's contrary to your very strongly held belief. Again, you'll tell them, fuck off, you're a conspiracy theorist. But by the time, statistically speaking, some people might take 1 or 2 and some people might take 100. But statistically, by the time the seventh person does that, you will consider changing that belief. Now, in practical terms, what that means is you can... I talked to David Icke about this, and he said, Vinny, you can't convince anyone of anything, but you can tell them things they cannot unhear. And that's what I call the information grenade. You pull the pin You chuck it in. You have no emotional attachment. This is the most important thing. No emotional attachment to whether or not somebody buys what you're selling, because you're selling truth, okay? Truth is something that if you don't buy it, you experience consequences. And the consequences are on them who choose not to buy the truth, not on you who tried unsuccessfully to sell it to them. There's something I learned in sales. Every time I was like really emotional about trying to get money and trying to get sales or something, I'd get less sales. But when I just didn't care about the money and just wanted to help people and ensure that they actually saved money by what I was saying and that was actually going to be good for them, I made more money.
You were acting in a moral fucking...
and for a salesman,
I bet you were an amazing salesman. You could sell a fence to your next door neighbour, bro.
But you've got to be realistic about this. You can't be dropping bombs in to relatives at a family
everyone
funeral.
has a different entry point.
You can't.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But you don't go on about it.
Okay. But
there is about it though.
You can't
become that born again Christian type thing, like I'm trying to convince everybody about the word of God, and you guys are all going to burn in hell unless you believe that 9/11 was an inside job.
The problem is, I find what I've noticed is people keep dropping bombs in inappropriate places, and it actually tarnishes the truth because it just makes the whole thing look crazy. Okay, the person that's dropping the bomb might actually know a few things, but when they're doing it in such inappropriate ways, in this inappropriate places, it makes the whole truth and freedom. There's such a fucking cringe term for people who are not a government pro. It just tarnishes the whole thing and makes everyone else look fucking retarded.
If you get the timing perfect, drop in a really harsh,
but not everyone can get the timing perfect. Like, it's like being a comedian, Vinny. Right? You not everyone could be a comedian. Lance, you're a public speaker and an MC, right? This is when we started doing Rise Above, right? Because me and Lance have been mates for a long, long time, many years. Like I'm not a public speaker. Like me and Lance, I was a DJ behind the desk.
I've always been a mic man.
Yeah,
always.
Exactly. So for me to come and speak publicly to thousands of people that see me online.
I remember when he first sent me a message, but before we were going live, I was just making a video here and there. He sent me a message like, "Mate, I've done a lot of research into this Pizzagate stuff, and I want to come on your videos." I was like, "Yeah, sweet. Just send me a little video first of you presenting yourself on camera, because not everyone. Some people, as soon as a microphone comes out or a camera, they sort of dwindle. They even if they've got great information, fantastic research.
Mate, it's nerve-wracking, man.
Yeah, it's something to get over, but once you get over it, it's just.
That video I sent you, I recorded that like 33 times.
When I first became a talk radio show host on American Talk Radio, the network owner, Danny Romero of American Freedom Radio, told me that there is one rule: have fun. Because if you're having fun, the audience is having fun. All right. And I added on to that one rule to say that there's two rules: have fun and be yourself. Yes. Because when you're being yourself, you'll relax, and that will relax the audience. So when people come on my show, as the intro I gave you before,
the only thing worse than living in a high-tech global police state run by child trafficking Satanists is Vinny's jokes.
You get a sort of impression about what you're in for, and it relaxes you, because no matter how bad you are, Vinny's jokes are much worse. So it's easier to...
You're saying you
deal with it.
Straight in at the deep end.
Hey man, it's the lighter side of genocide.
No, mate. This has been one of the easiest interviews I've probably ever conducted, because
we literally had to do nothing.
Not only are you spilling out with humour and fantastic knowledge as well, you're very easy to talk to and very relatable, and you're clearly very passionate about what you're doing, and that shows. And like you say, you're being yourself. And I can only speak from experience as well. I think the best shows that we do is when us two are having a great time, cracking jokes.
Vinny, we never plan anything on our show.
Apart from the start.
I had 3 questions that I wanted to ask you and 2 videos lined up. That's it. And I was just like, no, I just want to chat to Vinny and just see where it goes. That was it.
How much longer have we got your amazing time for, Vin?
How long is a piece of string? Well, this idea behind doing your research and getting all your stuff in a line in a row. Now, are you confident? Have you got your shit together? If you do, no amount of preparation is really going to improve the show. If you can, on the other hand, have a produced show, specifically, not a live broadcast where you're having a conversation. These aren't interviews. These are conversations. It's when you speak together. That's the Latin on. Okay. Now, I believe that speaking together is the way that knowledge was shared in ancient times. Traditionally, if you wanted to become the next tribal leader, you would have to sit around a campfire with the current tribal leaders, and you would be absorbing their knowledge through voice and voice only. This is why talk radios are particularly powerful, and why podcasts and things of that nature are still becoming very popular. Is because people want the knowledge of the elders. Many people don't know that they want it. People don't know that they need it, but that need and that want is there nonetheless, regardless of how you feel about it. Nobody wants to Groundhog Day and never freaking get anywhere. Nobody wants to have the same thoughts today that they had 20 years ago. Nobody. And I believe that the majority of the human population, because of the cult indoctrination procedures, have not been able to see through this dynamic. And that's why when people speak the truth, they are hated for it unless they make you laugh.
Very, very interesting, mate. It's I mean, it's so refreshing because it's very similar to the approach we have here. We incorporate a lot of dark comedy, a lot of humor, a shitload of memes. We use a lot of slang to mask what we're saying, but it's still have a way to talk about what's going on without getting cancelled. We, you know, like yourself, we already lost our first channel. We only had 5,000 subscribers. That was a lot for us back in early 2021.
5,000 is a hell of a freaking slog to get, you know.
Even
getting to the first 100, you know.
Yeah. Getting. I think getting your first 1,000 subs on YouTube is probably the most difficult. Then to even be seen in a.
Which reminds me. On that note, please go to the Vinny Eastwood channel on YouTube and subscribe. I'm like at 932 or something like that. So if we could get over the 1,000 subscriber mark,
we can definitely do that for you tonight. We've got 300 people tuned in right now. So if everyone can do that straight away, because you know, like all of us that are trying to do this new organic media. We're all getting constantly cancelled. We're all always counting our strikes.
I think Mark Devlin's on his fucking 4th YouTube channel now.
Yeah, well, you know, he was on 50,000
No,
subs.
64, mate.
64,000. Wow.
And I think he's on about to. So, guys, go and subscribe to Mark Devlin as well.
And I'd like to thank Pamela Swan for putting the link to my YouTube channel in the chat there for you. Thank you so much, Pamela.
Yeah, Pamela's one of our mods. She's fantastic.
This brings me another important point. You know, the reason why I made that keyboard for the guys in the background and stuff is because they don't get recognition. And they say that they don't want it, but everybody needs recognition. That even if they say they don't want it, they need it. They need to be appreciated. So always give your love and your appreciation to anybody who helps you out, and never believe that you have to pay it back. Always believe that you have to pay it forward. If somebody does something for you that you cannot do for yourself, hold that in your mind, that somebody was there for me when I needed it. And the next time when somebody is in front of you and you may not even know who they are, they say something and you realize that you can help them, and you do it just because it's the right thing to do. That's how the universe works and keeps perpetuating itself in good ways and bad, is by the people paying forward the gifts that have been given to them. Sometimes you get the gift of trauma, and sometimes you get the gift of enlightenment, and it's all about what you do with it. Now, we talked before about meditation. And I don't meditate because I believe that you can accomplish a lot more in life with your eyes open and working than you can with your eyes closed and humming to yourself.
Thank you.
Now, that's a very it's a very cynical way of looking at it, and I don't fully believe that. On the other hand, because I understand that there are true benefits to it. For example, in I believe it was a Zeitgeist Addendum, they showed a story about the Washington, D.C. meditation group that had 3,000 people meditating to reduce the murder rate by 30%. Now, Washington, D.C. is the murder capital of the world. People get murdered there all the time, principally because they've got a gun ban, so nobody's able to defend themselves against criminals. And so the chief of police
to the UK.
The chief of police was quoted as saying that, and I got a joke about the UK in a moment here, that it would take 6 feet of snow in order to reduce the murder rate by 30%. These 3,000 people did their meditation, and the murder rate did reduce by 30%.
Seriously?
Now, the reason why this works is because of the layer of reality we're here is 3D, and the layer above us is what's called the field, the morphic field.
Morphic field.
All right, so it's all the things that aren't tangible, but they're still there nonetheless. Yeah, and so everything that you put out into the quote-unquote ether has some kind of effect. So if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, man, I hate my life, I hate myself, and so on and so forth, there's going to be an effect on that. If you're sitting there thinking to yourself, man, I love myself, I'm actually a really good person, and I have done a lot of good work, and I am appreciated, and I am cared for by a lot of people. They just don't see the benefit in what I'm doing right now. There will be benefits associated with just those thoughts. So be mindful of your thoughts and how you think of yourself. Now, on the UK side of things, I remember Andrew Tate was saying on a radio broadcast that he does not wear a Rolex when he goes to England. And the reason why is because there are people with machetes on mopeds who go around looking for people with expensive watches and chop their arms off and get the hell out and go into a side street on their moped, and they get away. And the joke is that in England, a Rolex might cost you an arm and a leg.
Yeah. If you're a real bad man, you might have an extra Rolex on your ankle too. And then someone comes along with a machete.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some guy in Hackney.
Day.
I'm sure there's some guy in Hackney with a Rolex on his ankle. If I can imagine that, it's already happened.
I mean,
There was a guy in a Bugatti, like what was it, a $2 million car or something like that, just sitting there, and this guy freaking bashed his window in and chopped his arm off. Unbelievable.
I mean, that must be in some inner city proper shithole.
Right, Spitter, my friend Marcus, who's been on the show before, right, MC Spitter.
Yeah.
I met him in East London. He now lives in Southend-on-Sea. He said him and his other friends left East London and moved out to Southend-on-Sea because of Somali gangs and
that is some
whereas
heavy
before
shit.
whereas before someone might have a fight or maybe pull a small knife, these guys just pull out a machete and it just goes straight into you. He said it was just too much. And for anyone that's watching this show that's not in the UK, that stuff does happen in the UK, but that's really confined to cities.
Hey,
Manchester,
dude, right.
Birmingham,
Hey,
London.
No, it's not, man. Right?
Cutting people's arms off with a machete for a
yeah,
Rolex.
man. Yeah, man. Right. Vinny, I actually lived in. You're in Auckland, right? You're based in Auckland, right? I actually lived in Auckland for about 5 months. I used to be a chef years and years ago, and I used to work on super yachts. And one of actually my favourite seasons I did a charter season was when I was based in Auckland. And by the way, it's really hard to get any good weed in Auckland if you're straight off the boat, as you want to say. But yeah, it is. But the boat I was on previously, we took the boat from Thailand to Burma, okay, and the captain, Thomas, shout out to Thomas, he's actually passed away. He's not here anymore, but he was telling me about he's taken boats like through Somalia and stuff like that. And I tell you what, there is pirates, mate, out there will easily chop your arm off. They will board a super yacht and hold the residents like ransom, because all these are multi-millionaires, sometimes billionaires, depending on the size of the boat. And he said, you've got to be really wary. You don't go like offshore too much. You try to stay in as possible to the shore when you're cruising around. So these people are crazy, man.
Piracy never went away. It's a major problem all round.
But I didn't realise you were getting people cruising around in fucking London, chopping people's arm off for a Rolex watch.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah,
that's some
no
heavy shit.
exaggeration.
And let's talk about the and also there's the Pakistani rape gangs. I remember this one thing where they had a house, and outside the house was a blackboard with
40 people, Vinny.
Yeah, with 40 people's names on it.
I've heard you talk about this before. Yeah.
And next to their name, there's a dash for each and every time that they've taken an English girl there to rape for the day.
Yeah.
Okay, and at the end of the month, they pay the amount for the amount of rape that they've managed to commit in that particular house. All right, this is like a methodology. And the whole idea was, I think it was Dr. David Day in 1962 said the idea by the globalists was to flood the West with what he called Arab human garbage. This is his term, not mine. And they would come in and they would destabilize society and really destroy it. And you can start to see that that's actually happening now in Ireland. They're now changing names of towns to Arabic sounding names and things of that nature, as well as all the rape gang problems and stuff like that. In New Zealand now, I believe we have 100,000 immigrants a year into a country of 5 million people. Okay,
which is a small country. New Zealand is not
small.
a big country.
By comparison, I think it was in Finland, and this was quoted by Winston Peters, who's currently in the government, elected. He said that. Excuse me, 1 second. I've been talking for a bit. My brain's kind of going. What did he say? What was I talking about again? Yes, the immigration and Finland.
Plan.
Yes, I got it. So New Zealand, 5 million people, 100,000 immigrants a year. People who largely don't speak English, people who are largely not Kiwi in their culture, people who are not Christian in their ways, in the Western sense of the word. Whereas in Finland, they allow, I think they've got a country of about 14 million people, and they allow 500 immigrants a year. Okay. Yeah. Now, the reason for that is because they want to maintain a monoculture, and they don't have the problems that we have in the rest of our Western countries. Because when you have different people with different beliefs in the same space, there will inevitably be conflict. And also, imagine running an election campaign in an English-speaking country where approximately 30% of the population have no idea what you're saying because they don't speak your language.
Sure.
How are you going to get elected?
Finland's a strange one. It doesn't seem to play ball along with the other European countries with these kind of agendas that we're talking about.
Well, there's more than one Scandinavian country that just won't have this bullshit. But there's a few there's a lot.
Sweden are well on board with it. Sweden are one of the leading ones that are on board with many of these agendas.
They love the Soviet Union.
But Finland's very interesting because not many people know Finland played quite a strange sort of fence-sitting and sometimes fence-switching role in World War II, if I'm not correct. I
was just thinking about this. Imagine you got invaded in World War II by the Germans, and then immediately afterwards you get invaded by the Russians, and you have to live under their yoke, under the Iron Curtain for a certain period of time. Yeah. And then when you finally get your freedom, every generation knows what that freedom means, knows the value of it. Whereas in the Western world, in New Zealand, we've never been invaded by Germany. We've never been invaded by Russia. We've never been invaded by anybody. So all the generations that are here now don't have any value of that freedom. And that's why they don't stand up to fight to protect it.
The thing is, though, as well, I mean, I won't speak for the whole world because it's not the case, but they're trying to do it in the whole world. But the majority of the Western countries, they're all the fucking same. Like, I've spent a lot of time in America, a lot of time in Europe. I'm a keen snowboarder. I've been to a lot of countries and
Commonwealth countries.
Everyone dresses the same. Everyone looks the same. Everyone is in the same satanic mentality. Everyone's just it's all bullshit. And they're my brother lives in Thailand. He's been there for nearly 10 years now, and I went to visit him just before Christmas, and Lance and his wife went out there as well, and they tried to indoctrinate the Southeast Asian countries like Thailand.
You can see
Vietnam.
the Babylonian influence.
Yeah, they try to have it on.
But the dragon spirit, the dragon energy is still
It's very
there.
strange. It's a very strange mix.
It's a juxtaposition.
Yeah, and you can tell by like the architecture and the way people dress, but it's really odd because you've still got, like I'll say this respectfully, you've still got monks cruising around in their Thai orange get up that they wear. That's special to them.
Yeah, but some of them have iPhones and Rolexes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
they're like that bad corrupt.
yeah, and
monks.
they go
That's the
to
whole thing
barbers and stuff, and they ride trains in the cars and stuff like that. And it's so strange. But in Southeast Asia, from what I could tell, there is definitely a backlash against Babylon. Because there's none of the architecture there that's Babylonian at all. That's all over Europe, all over America, in New Zealand, Australia. There's none of it there. We looked for it, mate.
Yeah, sure. There's that. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any of those really old stone.
But there is
buildings
still a large population, a large percentage of the population which takes their selfies and are addicted to social media and are
much
very,
more addicted to social media in Asia.
Yeah,
than we
there's
are.
loads of that. I mean, it's very sad to see that culture's diminishing. But that's cool of Finland. They're only letting fight. They obviously care about their culture and they don't want it fucked. Because everyone
this
else's
is an old
culture
stat.
is just...
Yeah. I mean, this is an old stat, by the way, so it may have changed since then. I don't know, but and that was just at the time when it was quoted. We were having
But
50,000
Vinny, that
immigrants.
number,
That's now doubled.
even if that's an old stat, that number compared to the same year of what was
Yeah.
letting into the UK would be fucking.
Because
like,
we've got 66 million in the UK, and I think the official stats of how many people are coming into the UK each year is a couple of 100,000 or a few 100,000. So if
Yeah.
you compare that to New Zealand, that has only 3 million people, and you've got 100,000 coming.
5 million.
5 million. You know, the ratio is much higher for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Mate, if Jacinda Horseface had her way, they'd be flooding it with way more people than that. New Zealand would be fucked.
Yeah. Jacinda Ardern actually walked into a bar and the bartender said, "Why the long face?"
That's it. That's the joke, ladies and gentlemen.
It's based off an old joke about a horse walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Why the long
Yeah, for
face?"
sure.
'Cause, and I think that there's also this element as well as fear of speaking up against Islam, fear of speaking up against the globalists because there'll be consequences and so on and so forth. What do you think the consequence will be if you say nothing? If you do
Yeah,
nothing?
precisely.
Okay. And it's not like these people have got their own agenda and they're trying to do this. They're puppets. They're tools of the globalist. They know the way these people work, and that's why they send them to your country to destroy and destabilize it. Because if you were used to peace in the streets, truth, liberty, honesty, okay, you wouldn't tolerate this kind of stuff going on.
No, you wouldn't.
But if you've been flooded with criminals and
Immoral
rapists
practices. Yeah.
and the whole apparatus of the country that you are part of is absolutely supportive and prevents anybody from criticizing it, there's going to be some consequences to that kind of shit, isn't there? You know, how could there not be?
And that's why you've got in so much trouble, Vinny.
Not over this issue, and I think it was just that jibby jab, locky downy, hopey changey sort of mentality that sort of afflicted everybody. He said you can change culture in 6 weeks, just with the right amount of repetition and stuff like that. In New Zealand, we had the announcements. This is an announcement. Go and get yourself a V. And don't be one of those anti-V bastards, you know, on the news every night. It was the only thing that was on. Even the music section was just going, "Oh, unless you've got a passport, you can't come to the music festival." Right?
Indoctrination through repetition.
Even the traffic report was, "Oh, there's no traffic today because it's lockdown, but there's huge queues to go and get tested."
So we had
why
Vinny,
don't you-"
I remember in 2021 when the final solution came out, there was on the dual carriageways and motorways in the UK. There was in our area anyway. There were signs saying jabs plus testing equals our way out. That's what was on the signs.
Your way out of what?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Our way out. That just tells you you're in fucking prison.
Yeah, I saw they were going to make a fake ad for it. Introducing our new try it before you buy it scheme. Take it now and pay for it later. And now you'll go into a special draw to win a lifetime supply of pericarditis. You know, just... this is like the madness of it. And as I was doing the impressions before, you know, I had John Ansell, who's a award-winning advertiser, but he doesn't work in the advertising industry anymore because he started to become a truther. And he was telling me, I asked him, you know, I need your skills, bro. I need skills to come up with an ad for the Vinny Eastwood show. And he was like, well, I think what we've got to do is we've got to have like 3 people that are very recognizable voices, and we'll do the impressions of them. And we'll say that, you know, like your show is just such a threat that these people have actually decided to make mention of it. And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I need to tell you about the Eastwood problem. This ghastly character, as your king, something needs to be done about this. Schwab, what have you got?
Well, I believe it may be necessary to penetrate the Vinny Eastwood show because of the danger and the threat that it poses to our overall scumbaggery. Bill, we can't penetrate a one-man operation. So this is where you come in.
Oh yeah, I've been working on a Vinny scene actually, something specific to penetrate Vinny Eastwood, so that we can be free of this scumbaggery exposing pain in the ass for forever. Thank you very much. And it will only cost like maybe $12 billion in development, and we've got it. We've got it. We can do this. You know, this is why you should. This is why you should never listen to the Vinny Eastwood, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you should never listen to the Vinny Eastwood show. It's bad for you.
Should we show Vinny some memes?
Yeah, let's show us some memes. Let me just find one because
Actually, no, get the car up. Get the car
this
up.
one.
The car, because Vinny would like the car.
Yeah, right. So, Vinny, since in lockdown, I took up rollerblading after a 25-year break.
It's a semi-midlife crisis.
I go skating every lunchtime, right? And when I was through on my daily skate the other day, I was in Poole Park, and I came across this car here. Now, let me just get rid of this. I don't know. Can you see the stickers?
Yeah. Life is short, death is sure, and the curse, Christ the cure. It was
Waiting
not
for the
Mother
coming
Nature.
of our Lord, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that shall man give in exchange for his soul. The blood of Jesus Christ, his son, cleanse us all from sin. I mean,
get the picture, Vinny.
Have you noticed the flags, Vinny? Have you seen the flags here?
What are those Israeli flags? Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
These are what I call hypocristians. Okay, these are the people who, in name only, and the technical term for them is exoteric Christians.
Yes.
People who read the Bible and claim that they know everything because they do that, whereas esoteric Christians, they may or may not have ever picked up a Bible in their life, and yet they follow Christ consciousness and they choose to do what Christ would do in any given situation, including fashioning a whip to whip criminal bankers like Lord Jacob Rothschild, goddamn his soul.
And just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, when Vinny Eastwood says Christ consciousness, that's got no religious connotations attached to it whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus wasn't a religious man. He didn't follow anybody else's rules.
He hated religion, didn't he?
He wasn't in the fucking cult.
Well,
Please don't make a cult about me.
In a fucking cult.
Please don't make a cult about me on either. You know what I mean?
Don't make a cult about me.
Me too and fucking cross, but don't make a cult about me.
Hold my beer. The Phoenicians
familiarity.
Better you just cut it off.
Nice.
So In Warhammer 40,000, the Emperor of Mankind was very, very anti-religion. But when he was entombed on the Golden Throne and kept the darkness at bay for all humanity, humanity realized that the only way that they could actually keep him alive and stop humanity from being wiped out is by doing the one thing that the Emperor hated and commanded them not to do, to worship him as a god and create a monotheistic religion out of him. All right. So, and that decision in the 40K universe was conducted at a place called the Council of Nicaea. All right. Now, for those of you who are beckoners of history, I was actually asked this, when people try to trip you up and try to test your knowledge and they don't think that you've got it.
Lance is an expert at this technique.
One guy... One guy, when we were down at Langholm Beach having a drink, he asked me, "Oh, do you know who wrote the Bible?" And I go, "The Romans at the Council of Nicaea." And I go, "You didn't think I'd get that answer, do you?" He's like, "No, actually, I didn't think you did." So the concept is this. I had. Hold on 1 second, guys. I've just got a visitor in here. Oh, thank you, baby. Oh, she gave me some vitamin C and some pills because I'm suffering from the thing that disappeared in 2019 after being existing for all of human history. It just disappeared one day and it was all gone and nobody ever suffered from it again. The flu and the cold. All right. They don't exist anymore.
Oh, respect. So even though you've got a cold or some sort of Spanish glue situation, you still came to represent on Rise Above.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you want any health advice,
important.
please visit the WHO, the World Health Organization, for any information required.
Any information about a medical situation, we recommend you go directly to the World Health Organization.
We do not give out medical information here on Rise Above.
This is a satirical, tongue-in-cheek talk show, in case you hadn't already noticed. Back to Vinny, I guess.
Sorry, Vinny.
Just remember, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you have a question about whether or not there is a veracity in the statements of Vinny Eastwood, remember, Vinny Eastwood is always wrong about everything, and you should never pay attention to anything he says, ever. And if you do, you are a tinfoil hat-wearing, Islamophobic, transphobic, conspiracy theorist, and you need to shut the fuck up.
Raw.
Thank you, Vinny.
Absolutely. That's a very important disclaimer. I've been through the new extensive, WhoTube.
You've had to sit through training.
I've had to go through it twice, Michael. And we have to be very clear. We're presenting all sides of the story here. We're not, and obviously these are jokes, and we're probably wrong about everything.
That's the car. We showed Vinny the car. What else you got?
Oh, no, right. We were actually talking about
one thing before we do that. On the text side of things, what I do is I broadcast on Facebook and YouTube with all my shows. Whenever anybody mentions those words that cannot be mentioned and so on and so forth, I delete that video from that and I post it to Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey, and then I post a community post on YouTube telling people to go and watch it.
The trouble is,
good move.
The trouble is, Vinny, with that, there seems to be an issue. There seems to be an issue with people that can only click on YouTube and they can't fucking go to another platform for some reason. There's perfectly good nonsensical platforms and where everyone's content is there that's been censored, and for fuck's sake, for some reason they just can't do it. They just cannot do it. How many peasants have we got tuned in now? 292. If we
went onto another one like Rumble or one of those ones, we'd be lucky to get 29
if we
people
broadcasted next week, said right, we're having Vinny Eastwood back on the show, but we're doing it on Rumble, there'd be 5 people watching.
Yeah, I think somebody was doing. What was it? It was Dean Ryan, who's just an amazing guy and really good exposer of my greatest chief enemy in the truth movement, which is Pete Santilli. But I digress. What he does is he goes live on YouTube for about 5 minutes, and he tells everybody where the next show is. And so when people click on the link, he goes, link in the description, and then he can actually get a good portion of his things over. But I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
One time, due to the shadow banning, I was doing a Facebook Live while I was walking my son around in his pram, just with a gimbal and stuff.
I've watched the video, Vinny, yeah.
And it got down to one viewer, all right? And I was like, I could have been depressed about it, but I was actually really encouraged. I was like, hey guys, if I can do it, you can do it. Go out there and get your listener. I'm sure they're waiting for you to start broadcasting. Even everybody can get one at least. If Vinny Eastwood can do it, you can do it too. And this whole shadow banning and censorship type thing is a brutal assault on the consciousness of humanity, in my opinion, because the whole idea of it is to prevent real thought, is to prevent real interaction, and to prevent that which is controversial. Now, controversial means, in terms of the definition, being confronted with a piece of information, which, if you accept that piece of information, means you have to change something radical about your life. What you think, what you do, that kind of thing. This is why everybody talks about controversy this, controversy that, and whatnot, because people don't know what it actually means. Much like people don't know what an argument is. They think an argument is two people yelling at each other. No, that's not the definition. The definition is more along the lines of, hey, I know something you don't, and you probably know something that I don't. So let's converse, let's compare our notes, and then we'll both come off wiser. That's an argument.
Oh, there you go.
But that's been very much inverted, where it's almost like people are just stuck in their own rabbit hole or their own fixed perception, and all they're doing is just butting up against a collective brick wall and almost digging themselves deeper. So all of these arguments that we see on social media and online are actually the antithesis of what you just talked about.
Yeah, that's why it's called social media.
All I see on social media is arguments now. It's literally become toxic as fuck.
Okay, I've got to actually explain this thing. All right, two things. One is the Primarch of the Rockefeller family, and the second is trolling and who they are. So first of all, trolling. Psychology Today did an article about narcissists, psychopaths, and sadists are the internet trolls. Now, what do each of these three groups want from you? In general, they want different things, but they basically need one thing from you in general: your attention. Okay? The block list on my Facebook is so long that it would take me nearly 2 or 3 hours to scroll to the bottom of it.
Really?
Okay? All right? I am vicious when it comes to blocking people. Absolutely vicious. Anybody comes up with any abuse in any way, shape, or form, blocked. No arguments, no warnings, no nothing. Because you can tell that you're dealing with somebody who wants to hurt your feelings or wants to frustrate you, and they have no interest in listening to you or engaging in an actual argument. The only thing they want to do is hurt you and get you to give them attention. So if you get offended and you start arguing with them away, you're giving them what they want.
Yeah.
Block
it's very easy
everybody.
to spot those people versus those who have genuine constructive criticism about the integrity of the information you're presenting, about your the way you've constructed your argument, etc., etc. It's very easy to distinguish between those people. For instance, we have a huge amount of criticism for the fact that instead of putting ourselves behind a paywall or asking for a subscription to access our broadcast, we sell merchandise, i.e. T-shirts, hoodies, and we have Thursday Night Raw Academy paid courses, which are, £10 or £15 for a course. We get, from a very small minority of vocal people, we get a lot of criticism about that. And it's like, none of these people have never considered the time and cost it takes to put in forward your own media station or a YouTube channel or your own website or whatever you're doing, and it's they're just stuck on a repeating record, trying to bring you down, trying to take your attention away, trying to get you to argue to justify what you're doing, which we do. Sometimes we do have to, we do customer services and we put the comments on the screen, and we do sort of try to respond to this stuff.
Yeah, mate.
But I think
yeah.
what Vinny says is very true. It's like you are giving your energy to people that are simply probably requesting your energy.
We're
say
being
that-
harvested.
You guys sent me an email and you asked me to give you my time and my energy, and you asked nicely, and we're having a good conversation.
It's been awesome.
Where we're all learning
On that
a little
note,
bit of
I'd
something.
like to say thank you to Rebecca at Anacapulco. Because I think she put us onto you, Vinny. She mentioned that we were interested in talking to you.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. I
fucking begged her, Vinny. I fucking begged her. I was like, because Vinny was on after us, right?
It's really synergetic.
Yeah,
that is.
Vinny was on after us in the. Were you live, Vinny, or did you do a recorded presentation?
Pre-recorded, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were on the Monday evening.
10 or 11 o'clock, but I know that you were on before us, which was...
after. Vinny was on after, I think.
No, we had the closing
Oh,
slot.
did we? No,
they put us on last in case anyone got offended.
Oh, right, yeah, of course.
We had some pretty tasty memes. Anyway, we were trying to show Vinny a meme.
Sorry,
right.
yeah, we've been...
Hold your horses, hold
we
on.
entertain tangents here on Rise Above.
Vinny, you've heard, you know who Greta Thunberg is, obviously.
Well, it's pronounced Greta Thunberg.
Okay, Greta Thunberg.
which really grates on you,
It's definitely great. And you know who
Has
George...
anybody been to Sweden? I'm from Sweden.
Trust me, Vinny knows who Mr.
I know,
yeah,
but I'm just leading up to the presentation of this meme. This is and you obviously know who George Soros is, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, check this out. Boom. Yeah. What do you know about this? We have a team of memesters here. Raw. This one is made by Auntie Covia. Massive shout out to Auntie Covia. We've got about 5 or 6 people in our meme team that are working in rotation.
I think it went up to 12 at one point.
At one point,
in 2021.
I think in early 2022, we had over 12 memeticians working for us full time. So look at the comments here. We're getting show us some love in the live chat. Give us some hashtags, some flames, and some emojis. If
More importantly, go to fucking Vinny's channel on YouTube and hit subscribe, guys. Come on.
Yes, absolutely.
There's been loads of people in the chat say, "Oh, we love Vinny." Right, so come on, show some love. Go over to the fucking site. Go over to his website and give him a donation.
Why is humour so important, Vinny? Why is it so important?
It's a coping strategy. So basically, it works like this. All the horrible, all the fearful, all the nasty, all the sad can be reset immediately when you laugh.
Yes.
And I must not be alone when I say that to laugh at your enemy, to laugh at the face of death when it is staring directly at you, is mankind's greatest strength.
Absolutely.
I've just been informed, Vinny, via WhatsApp that, from my Ramesh maiden, Becky S, that you've just been hit over 1,000 subs on your channel.
So big
Mickey!
Thank you guys. To the Ramily, big
Well,
thank you
you
to the
said,
Ramesh
Mickey,
community.
this is what we say here on Rise Above. We say,
Michael. Yes.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, never underestimate the power of self-promotion.
Yes, we did it. No,
you've got to have a bit of service to self at some point.
Of course.
Now, back to my original point. We were talking about, I wanted to tell you about the Rockefeller family. All right. So,
Okay, yes.
we were talking about this in regards to trolling and what have you, but this is still
Vomit
an
bags
interesting
ready,
story.
ladies and gentlemen.
The first Primarch of the Rockefeller family was called Big Bill Rockefeller. What he did for a living is he was a traveling snake oil salesman. And what the snake oil salesman would do is he'd have just some crap in a bottle, and he'd tell everybody that it would do anything. It would grow your hair back, it would give you a rock hard erection, it would make you smarter or whatever. And he'd roll into little old towns in the West, and he'd pay off people in the crowd. This is where we get the term shill from. So when he makes this outrageous claim that it'll regrow your hair, he's paid some guy with a lot of hair to take off his hat and say, yeah, it cured my baldness, and so on and so forth. And then when people buy up all this stuff, he skips town, and then they have no way of finding him when they realize that the product doesn't work. He then bought up, after recruiting a bunch of other snake oil salesmen, to scam virtual whole sections of states at the same time and get across state lines and then divvy up the money. And then he used that money to purchase the oil industry. And then he bought the barrel makers out so that nobody else in the oil industry could barrel and sell their oil. Then he realized that there's a whole bunch of toxic stuff that comes out of this oil that does interesting things to human consciousness, makes them dull, makes them gives them illnesses and things of that nature. And he called them side effects. And because it's incredibly expensive to get rid of toxic waste, they put the toxic waste in pill form and started to sell it to you as things like Prozac, right? And they had their control over the American Medical Association relatively early on in the 20th century, following the late 1800s Flexner report, where the Rockefellers wanted to eliminate the competition just like they did in the oil industry in the medical field. So they hired this guy named Flexner to go around to all the medical practitioners, homeopathy, chiropractic, whatever, Reiki, which I believe is mostly used during the autumn, but I digress. They had a rating as either very good or very bad for each of these medical institutions, including the Rockefeller medical institutions that pushed a poison pill for every ill. And Flexner rated all of the other practices that were actual health practices as very bad and called them quackery and basically put them all out of business. Then they started bribing the medical associations that were teaching the new doctors of tomorrow. They went in and said, hey, bro, you know you're the most prestigious university ever, so what we need is the big technology, the new tech from all the medical fields to be there for you, and we're going to pay for that. And we only ask one thing in return. You put one of our people on your medical board that makes all your medical decisions. And then the next year, they give them new tech, and they ask for another person on their board. And after a few years, every single person that runs every single major medical institution in the United States was working 100% for the Rockefellers, and they've controlled medicine with their scumbaggery ever since.
These guys are known as the robber barons. Is it robber or rubber?
Robber.
Because I didn't know if the word rubber was coming from rubber plantations.
No.
These guys were also, we've got to be careful here, in charge of those plantations and that international trades that everyone's very upset about.
For this, you want to go and look at a film and a documentary film by Larkin Rose called The Plantation. I can't remember the name of it. The something plantation. Google Larkin Rose.
The Jones plantation.
I've heard
I had this. Oh, do you guys want to get Larkin Rose on? Because it was
fucking
Boom.
right.
Yeah. Can we
right.
make this happen?
Yeah.
I'll hook you up, bro.
Thank you so much, Vinny.
Vinny, let me ask, right, in to wrap it up, because we're going to have to take a break soon. I'm sure you've got to get on with your day. Now that we're post the 2020 event, now that there are X amount of people that have done their 10K rabbit hole time, that have got their stations, like yourself, like us guys, right, and many others that are doing the good work, right? Now that all of this information is on the table, now that we've seen all the plans for Agenda 2030 and Agenda 21 and the WEF and the Great Reset, how do you actually feel about the future? Do you think that there's still some great awakening event that people have to, that's going to happen for people? Do you think that it's individual? Do you think we're doomed? How do you feel generally about the future, knowing what you know and seeing what you've seen? Here we are in the early part of 2024.
Well, my answer to all of that is yes.
Great answer, mate.
So we're doomed, and we've got hope. Okay, so the whole idea here is to never lose hope. Okay, hope is a fleeting and a fragile thing, and the thing that gives you hope is seeing somebody who, despite having no chance of victory, still stands against an implacable enemy. This is the definition of the word valor, where although victory is impossible, although to fight makes your death certain, you stand and you do what is right anyway, because it is the right thing to do. This is what courage is all about. And people like us encourage others. Encourage means to give courage. That's why it's so important that we say what we say and do what we do and be seen to be doing it, because you never know whose courage you might inspire, who might come up with an idea, who might do something incredible that you could never think of. Each and every one of us is the center of a little universe with our ranges of contacts and our range of different skills. And I've talked to maybe a couple of hundred listeners of the Vinny Eastwood show in person, at length, at parties and protests and things of that nature. And they're all the same, all right? They're the same in these manners. Number one, they've got skills, like real skills. Like these people can actually do things. Number two, they're highly intelligent. They can actually think. Number three, they don't back down to anybody. Having people with those three personality traits listen to me is incredibly humbling, because these people know things that I do not. They can do things that I cannot. And that is why it is so important to appreciate at all times our audiences, our listeners, our supporters, our families, our donors, and all of that kind of thing. I would not be here. Like, you see this jacket we're wearing here? Okay, donated. You see this t-shirt I'm wearing here? Donated. You see this microphone that I'm speaking through here? Donated. You see this webcam that I'm broadcasting through here?
Vinny, people have commented in the comment section about your microphone.
Mate, that mic's dope. That mic's dope, mate.
All right, that's Luke Hurley, who's a New Zealand guitarist, and I met him at Cafe 1-to-1 at an open mic night one time, and he goes, "Oh, Vinny, I love your show, mate. I love your show. But I've got a question for you. Vinny. Is in doing what you do you think you're putting yourself in danger?" and I went, "Well, one can only hope. I mean,
Try my best, mate."
Yeah, I mean, we laughed so hard that we actually destroyed the act that was on in the cafe behind us. Somebody actually came out and told us to shut up.
Well, Vinny, from what you told us earlier about your interaction with the order following community, it's safe to say that you're doing something right. That's for sure.
So, on this point, there's two people who approach you, and they approach you in many ways, and they take many forms, but they're basically two entities that are promoting two complete opposite ones. The first entity comes up to you and says, "Guys, I want you to sell lies." And you go, "Lies? What do I get if I sell lies?" "Mate, you're going to be rich. You're going to have fast cars, house, famous people that you see on the TV and what have you. You're going to be partying at their homes, doing drugs with them. You're going to have infinite girls to shag, that kind of thing." And you're like, "Really? That's what I get if I sell lies?" "Yeah, mate." "Okay. What about you, bro? What do you reckon I should sell?" "I reckon you should sell truth." "Oh, yeah? What do I get if I sell truth?" "Well, you're going to lose most of the people that that you thought were your friends. Probably your income too. And you'll become abused and become some sort of a social pariah and you're going to go through significant amounts of suffering and persecution. That's what you get if you sell truth. You're like, okay, you haven't really thought about the sales pitch, have you? No, it's the truth, mate. Okay. Well, what are the unintended consequences of selling lies? Oh, well, you know, all those friends that you've got, all that money and all that friends, they'll disappear the second you do one thing that they don't like, because they're not really your friends. And all that money you've got, that can be taken away in the blink of an eye. All those assets you have as well. Really? Yeah. Well, what are the unintended consequences of telling the truth then? Well, you won't have many friends, but the friends that you do have are gold standard. They retain their value. Okay?
And quality.
When you are in trouble, when you are experiencing that pain and persecution for being the one who tells the truth, they will be there for you. Okay?
Can we send Vinny a t-shirt?
Definitely.
So that's the unintended consequence of telling the truth. It's not glamorous. You don't get the big movies and big TV shows and things of that nature, but you do get to sleep at night, and you do get to be around people who are genuine, who genuinely love you, and are genuinely good people of real value, and that you cannot get if you are selling lies for a living. Either lies to yourself, because both of us sell lies to ourselves all the time. I'm not good enough to start a radio show. Yes, you fucking are. I'm not good enough to make a YouTube video. Yes, you fucking are. I can't be bothered editing a video or learning how to edit. Yes, you fucking can. Okay? Everybody who ever wanted to do this stuff started off by watching it. Okay? Every musician heard music before they started playing. Every filmmaker watched movies before they started making them. Every talk radio show host listened to talk radio before they started making their own. You have all the qualifications you need, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, to say, fuck this. I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. I'm going to change something. I'm going to do something. And ain't nobody going to tell me why I shouldn't, because all of those people will fade away from me in time, because they're not really my friends. They're not really my supporters. They're not really my family. And you will find a whole new family.
Because you're not in a cult.
Romilly. Absolute flames. Right, 2 absolute quick fire questions before we let you get on with your day. First question, in this interview, in this chat, in this conversation, Vinny, I feel like we've just got to know you, and you've got to set your benchmark caliber standard with the Rise Above community.
Which has been very well received.
I want to get you back on sooner rather than later, and I'd love to analyse some current events and news with you. Would you be up for that?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And the second very quick fire question, when we talked about the nature of a reality earlier on and the holographic vortices
being
that we live
projected by
inside,
collective going.
are you familiar with a guy called Jason from a channel called Archaics?
No.
Okay, well, I'll send you some
This
links.
is a holographic construct.
He hasn't heard of Jason from Archaics.
That's all right.
All right, we'll send you some links. All right, Vinny, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And I think I can say you've actually been one of my favourite guests we've had on so far.
Mate, I told you.
Andy PG.
I told you, mate.
Cup on cap.
So, Vinny, before you go, so we were very privileged to be invited to Anacapulco, and subsequently Rebecca put us onto
virtually.
Virtually. Mate, we were still in attendance. Doesn't matter if it's virtual or not. We were still there. And Rebecca very kindly put us onto you, Vinny. So if you would literally let Lark and Rose know that we would like to talk
to talk to him. That'd be brilliant.
That would be really good, man. Really good.
Yeah, I mean, no problem. This is something I was going to say before. I think I forgot to say it. But networking, the people who teach networking they teach the most important principle of networking. It's not to run into people that you work well with. It's about hooking other people up with other people who might work well with them. That's the most important aspect of networking ever. I've been on more shows outside of New Zealand than I have been on shows in New Zealand. For example, when I was under my 28 months of torture under the court system, really,
Torture, yeah,
I was
it is.
I was invited on half a dozen New Zealand talk radio shows and about 50 to 60 foreign talk radio shows. So I've got a lot of connections, a lot of pull out there. And it's because I'm very good at what I do. I'm very good at having a conversation.
Damn right.
Right? This conversations are, I think probably the term is a conversationalist, somebody who's good at and likes engaging in conversations. And largely, I think because of the fact that we're all afraid to speak from our hearts and we're afraid to be who we really are, that is the reason why people get depressed and full of anxiety and then tune into shows like this, because at least we know what they're talking about and what have you.
Sure.
And so the role that we have, to a large degree, I think, is as a protracted form of grief counselor. Okay, when you're going through the grief process and to realize that the world is controlled by ruthless criminal sociopathic scumbaggery instead of ordinary people like you and me, is an inherently traumatic realization. And this is a difficult thing to cope with if you don't have anybody who actually understands it, explaining it to you and helping you along. And that's the role we play. We've done our 10K, we know what we're talking about, and we're able to compartmentalize the things that are terrifying and difficult that might cause us some kind of psychological paralysis, so that we can keep our nose to the grindstone, so that we can keep doing the great work. The great work for each of us is very different. All depends upon your all depends upon your skill set. You know, if you're a self-aggrandizing big mouth who loves getting attention, and why would you want to be a talker?
Everyone's got something to bring to the table if they've got the courage to fucking do it.
It's like, that's a big criticism that people have criticised me. Wow, you've got a big mouth, haven't you? Well, guess what? I'm a professional MC.
Mate,
it's literally my job to have a big mouth.
Right, so this
and
is the
since
other thing.
2020, I caved in. I couldn't take the nuds and the prods anymore. I had to put my big mouth to a good use instead of just pure service to self, pimping out my big mouth. I decided to, get a whole lot of time and effort and cost to try and do what we're doing now.
But that's cost you, Lance. Right? So Vinny, Lance is an MC, right? That's how I met him. I was a DJ, Lance an MC. So he actually got told that you can't MC it.
My final mainstream booking, the final one to cancel me, which happened in 2023. Yeah, last year, which was Bournemouth Sevens. It's a huge...
I was talking about the bigger one. Was it?
Outlook Festival.
Outlook Festival. Yeah.
That happened before 2020.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That it could, because of Lance's. No, you tell.
Well, I was making posts simply questioning all of the anti-Trump crap, and basically just trying to provide that bridge between the extreme.
Not that we're political here on Rise Above. It's all bullshit. We know that.
I was trying to show that there was some middle ground, and I made some post about well, guess what? If you try and break into a country and cross a border committing a crime, you might get separated from your children. That's the way it's always been. When you get arrested, you commit a crime. Yeah. It was about border crossing. And anyway, and I got cancelled from this huge festival in Croatia, Outlook. And in the music genre I'm in, that's pretty much the pinnacle. It's the biggest festival in the world for D&B, dubstep, and sound system culture. And and this was, I guess, in late 2018, early 2019. So it's before all the real craziness started happening. So, you
got cancelled for saying, for even just questioning it.
Yeah, no, I'm cancelled from all mainstream music events that I had the bookings now. Now I only job out exclusively in combat sports because in combat sports, in the fight sport industry, because people generally have a lot more testosterone in their meat suit. They don't care about opinions that might upset them a little bit, even if they,
because they're not pussies, mate.
Yeah,
Even
if said opinions do upset them, So yeah.
Well, I'm reminded of a 5G meeting that I went to at the West Auckland City Council, and I came in accidentally.
Sorry, Vinny. Sorry, we refer to that as wireless pentagram on there.
that 5 and that's the algorithm doesn't like that.
Sorry, to be fair, we only told Vinny about the C and the V word.
Yeah,
So
we
refer to wireless pentagram.
What we need is a list down the side of the screen for the viewers and the host. All the things you're not allowed to say. But ironically, if you put that list there, you'd be saying it, wouldn't you?
No, funny you should say that, Vinny, because we have got 2 shows, the Ralphabet we call it, which actually
like the A to Z of Rise Above, which is raw.
We've done two shows. We do one annually, once a year, to upgrade the alphabet, which is our code lingo. So yeah, sorry, carry on. I'm digressing.
So this councillor said to me, "Oh, what do you think about this G5 thing?" And I go, "I don't know what I think about the G5 thing, but I know what I think about the 5G thing." And he goes, "Oh, smart ass, are you?" And I go, "Well, I found it infinitely more useful than being a dumbass."
Well,
right? And just patted him on the back. It's like, "Sorry, mate, talk radio show host with 10 years experience here. You're ill prepared for this fight."
you're in the shit, mate.
It's just people don't know how dangerous I am. Okay, and that's good because, as Sun Tzu said, your enemy needs to believe that you're weak when you're actually strong. It needs to believe that you're strong when you're actually weak. Okay,
sure.
And I'm just an ordinary guy, right? On the surface, two legs, 2 arms. Enormous dick. Now, this concept, though, it's just about the fact that nobody really knows what tomorrow is going to bring. And you know that the only thing that's really going to be there tomorrow that you can control is yourself.
Is your enormous dick?
Well, sometimes it doesn't do what I wanted to do. I was actually in a hardware store the other day, and my mate needed to get some rooting hormone, and he couldn't find it on any of the shelves. And he was talking to this other guy there for maybe a couple of minutes, and I'm just kind of like standing beside them, not really saying anything, wasn't even part of the conversation. And they finish up and they go, "Okay, man, I'm just looking for my rooting hormone. I just can't find it anywhere." And I go, "Don't worry, bro. It happens to like 1 in 5 of us."
A rooting hormone.
Subsequently, guys, if anyone in the South Coast needs some rooting hormone, visit Adlo's Hydroponics store in Winton High Street. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting one of those t-shirts. The look of your products is absolutely fantastic, guys. Like really, really good. And I love the setup with the show that you've got there. It's very dynamic.
Vinny, it's all
this
bullshit,
is another
mate.
thing.
It's just lights off Amazon, mate. And a set of decks in the background. That's all it is. And we get accused of being Freemasons on a Tavistock Institute fund.
We built all this ourselves. It's like we worked really, really hard to try and have a good studio and work on our imagery and our logos so everything's consistent.
We started with the mobile phone and the gimbal.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who just started with a mobile phone, and I had to give them a gimbal.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, but like we're not on any kind of shill payroll. Like Lance gets called a Freemason Jew all the time, don't you? Just because he's got curly hair, for fuck's sake.
Big nose as well. Yeah, I get it all the time.
Okay, so there's something I want to clear up about this as well, because Freemasonry, there's been a secret war going on inside it. It's the Scottish Rite versus the rest of Freemasonry. Okay. Freemasonry used to be a way for young men to become real men and be given the ancient
moral
knowledge that's been passed down for thousands of years.
The ancient knowledge of all time.
Real Freemasonry.
The timeless knowledge, right?
That's real Freemasonry. Now, it got infiltrated by the Scottish Rite. These are the people with the 33 degrees and stuff like that you hear about. So there is Freemasonry and there is dark Freemasonry, okay? And people need to be able to discern the difference. Yep. Let's say theoretically, even if you were a Freemason, have a look at his works have a look at the fruit that his
Yes.
tree drops to the ground. Would a Freemason do that? Would a Freemason be trying to help humanity, or would they be trying to do something completely different? And then again, this is dark Freemasonry we're talking about. Light Freemasonry, dark Freemasonry. There's light and dark in everything. There's polarity in everything. And understanding that there is a word, a very important word, which the vast majority of people don't seem to understand or know the existence of. It's called nuance. Okay? Small, tiny, little, subtle differences. That's what the whole game is about here when you're trying to truly understand reality, rather than just put a label on someone because you're mentally ill and you're suffering from complex post-traumatic stress from the things that you've learned, and nobody gave you a hug and said, it's okay, you're going to be all right, just keep going. And when you've got family and friends abusing you, calling you names and things of that nature, it makes you retreat inward. And the more you retreat inward, the less social contact you have, the less mental stability and sanity you possess. Okay?
Yes.
I was talking to a DJ, Mikey Havoc, about 9/11 on Radio Live. I believe this might have been in 2010. And he said, yeah, but Vinny, when people go into this kind of thing, some of them go crazy and they just go mad and stuff like that. But I didn't. And they go, well, Mikey, you're a DJ, okay? When you were talking about this stuff, when you were discovering this stuff, were you constantly alone the whole time, or were you going out and seeing people, talking to people, and doing your work and things like that, and still be interacting? He's like, yeah, I was. Okay, that's how you maintained your sanity.
Fuck, I never thought about this.
Other people are the most important thing that you will ever discover, other than your own power, is the power of everybody
We're social
else.
beings. We're social beings.
So maybe MCing saved my mental health.
Just being around people, man. This just brings us back to what we talked about earlier about people emailing the show saying that thank you. Like we would have, like, if we didn't find Rise Above, or if you know we didn't find the Vinny Eastwood show, that we would have fucking blown our brains out, or something to that.
Yeah, so thank God someone else
You imagine, right?
sees the peasant verse the same way that I do. You know
Vinny,
what I mean?
we've had people call into our customer services show. Right, forgive me, guys, if I don't remember your name. I remember someone was in a fucking remote village in the UK somewhere fucking desolate, mate. And there was no one. There was about probably a very small population in the village, and they were the only one who didn't submit
only person
to the
they
COVID
knew.
union. Yeah. And they were all their family, friends, work colleagues. They were threatened to lose their job, and they were literally the only one in a fucking 50 mile radius that was in their way of thinking. And they were like, if there wasn't Rise, if I didn't find Rise Above, like I don't know what I would have done. So this is the same thing. This is exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, two elements come to mind there. Is number one, I've had 3 people specifically, only 3, come up to me and approach me and say that without my show they would have committed suicide. However, there's a metric in talk radio that I learned from Radio Live host named Willie Jackson, or was it John Tamahiri? I forget which. In fact, I forget where I heard the source. But anyway, the general rule in talk radio is for anybody who calls up and says something, there's 1,000 other people who thought the exact same thing, but didn't call up and let you know about it. Okay? So if you're sitting there, you guys and I have collectively saved thousands of lives. Okay, think about what that really means. How long do you think a paramedic or a doctor would have to work in order to save a few thousand lives?
Holy shit!
Okay,
I've never thought of it like that before.
They are pussies. They can't save shit. We are the healers of humanity. We are the ones who give people a reason to live, not because we're anything special, but because we're just like you. We want to live, and we want to live free. The definition of liberty is being able to say no and experience no consequences for saying no. That's liberty. And at the moment, liberty is being destroyed systematically in every conceivable way. And unless people find the courage to stand up and do something, anything other than nothing, we will not survive, and our knowledge will die with us. I've been doing this a long time, and all of the people on my show, most of them are far, far older than I and possess knowledge that they learned the hard way. And they are all too willing to give their knowledge to anybody who will listen.
They've
for
done their
free.
10K.
Mm-hmm.
They've done their 10K.
They've done their 100K, you know.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is Vinny Eastwood.
Yes.
Don't believe me?
Vinny, I've got to say massive thank you. We could carry on talking to you for hours, but we're going to have to wrap it up there. But I'll email you and we'll get a date.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. We've got a quick comment here. I think this person's actually trying to be negative, but I mean, what a compliment. Someone's saying, calm down, Passio. I think they're actually trying to be negative, but I mean, what a compliment.
To put this into context, balance is the ability to go to either extreme, but still be able to come back to the center again. I may get angry, I may get sad, but I still come straight back and can just talk in a very serious and normal way.
Yeah.
And this is
But
the
you're
difference.
always smiling, Vinny.
Well, I mean, I have to, because when you see yourself smiling, your brain tricks you into thinking that you're happy. Do you understand?
Those endorphins.
Being sad.
Self-mind control.
That's right. Mind control. Just like manipulation can be used for good or for ill. If you have the ability to control a mind, it best be your own.
And there's your light and dark, ladies and gentlemen.
Mind over meat suit, Vinny. Mind over meat suit. Right.
What a great
Right,
show.
so with that being said,
Great. It's not finished
guys,
yet. We've got lots to get through. Yeah, thank you
it's
very
been
much.
a great pleasure, and I'd like to encourage people to go to thevinnyeastwoodshow.com. That's Vinny with a Y, because it's the most important
One of our
question.
moderators, can you get a link up on the screen?
We've got the
There we
YouTube
go.
link on the
Sorry,
screen there.
There we go. Thank you.
It's on the description on Vinny's little window there. We'll just
Yep.
get
And
that up.
Eastwood, go ahead, make my news. And go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, make a gift, a donation. The whole transfer of energy from one person to another is the entire reason why I have absolutely everything, including the green screen. Everything has been purchased with the help of donations from generous people who realize the value in what I'm doing, and they recognize that they won't get anything back when they donate to the show. They're simply paying it forward, and so I can continue doing this work, which is to serve the truth, to serve humanity, to serve the audience in the unique way that I do, and that is only possible because of the support that I have received from ordinary people. And by ordinary, I mean fucking extraordinary. There's not a single person who's really a good listener of the Vinny Eastwood Show who isn't, in their own right, a really amazing person. And I'm so grateful to have access to your audience as well.
Thank you so much, Vinny. And I'm going to just press the button.
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above.
Fuck's sake, is that a green screen behind him? I thought he was living in Tartarian architecture.
No, that's actually the New Zealand Parliament, known as the Beehive.
I know exactly.
Designed,
where that is, Vinny.
designed,
I checked it out. I investigated it.
designed by a Freemason, and it symbolizes the perfect Freemasonic society. A hive with a queen who dictates over all the drones.
It's very insectoid. Mate, that's a whole nother show. I can't wait to actually talk to you again, Vinny, to be honest. But we've got to let you go. Thank you very much, Vinny Eastwood.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, mate.
Thanks.
Speak
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
Couple
Namaste, and now I must go.
Okay. Right, guys, that was absolutely awesome. But guess what? We've got a couple of other things we need to talk about. But before we just have a micro break with 2 music videos. A Michael break. I need to let you know that tonight we are promoting none other than Ryan Sanders, who is performing with us.
On that note, we are dishing out a CD too. Sorry, and they've bought some merch.
Anyone that buys an item of merchandise tonight gets a free Ryan Sanders CD.
So shout out to Nick. You've got one on the way, mate. We've got your information. We've got your merch on the way, and you're going to receive a Ryan Sanders CD.
Who else has bought? There's like 2 or 3 other people that have bought items from the website. Get the link on the screen right now.
I've been indulged with Vinny Eastwood.
Mate, that was fucking awesome. I love Vinny.
Mate, he's a good.
Mate, it's
fucking
badass.
geezer.
I can't wait.
Jonathan as well. You're going to get one, dude. And let me find the third person.
So you get a free Ryan Sanders CD with every item of merch purchased tonight. So get onto riseabove.tv, or the other option, if you want to check out our new merchandise range, brought to you by none other than Miss Becky S. You can scan the QR code here, or go to redbubble.com, and it's riseabove.tv as our collection. The link is also in the description. So once again, tonight, everyone that buys an item of merch gets a free Ryan Sanders CD. Look how many I've got to give away. This is riseabove.tv. We're going to have a micro break. I'm a little Michael break. So here is a new tune from Ryan Sanders, including the video. This one, I believe, is called... Yeah, it's called Black Sheep. How fitting. Right, so let's get rid of this QR code.
Shout out to Nanny... Someone, so I can't quite.
So remember, every time you purchase a piece of merchandise, that
bought us a
pays
coffee,
for our
thank you.
bills to literally produce Rise Above, so I don't have to pay for it myself. Thank you, please. So you can do it that way, this way. Get a ticket for Raw Academy. I can't wait to talk about Jacob Rothschild after the break, Michael. No, believe me, it's coming. It's coming. Right.
Shall I get my little hat on?
Yeah, go and get your little hat. Right. This is Ryan Sanders with Black Sheep. We'll be back after the break.
I didn't mean to wake you up. I didn't know you were sleeping. I can see that you're still dreaming. I didn't know you were sleeping. I didn't realize. I thought it would be fine for me to speak my truth, but turns out you can't handle my words. You hate my research, you found it so absurd. You said I'd come off worse, but I bind up and break every curse. Just type a text, this one's coming in quite direct. What's new? I've been fighting demons behind my bed. Concerned about side effects, there's always something to fight against. Looks like somebody lied again. I didn't mean to wake you up. I didn't know you were sleeping. I can see that you're still dreaming. I didn't know you were sleeping. I didn't realize. Wake you up. I didn't know you were sleeping. I can see that you're still dreaming. I didn't know you were sleeping. I didn't realize.
One, two. Yeah, so that was Ryan Sanders with Black Sheep. Andy PG had a chance to get to the toilet. We've got one more track from Ryan Sanders, and I can't stress enough, anyone that makes any type of purchase, I'm going to say it, even if you buy some stickers off the website, you don't even have to buy a T-shirt. If you buy a ticket for Raw Academy microdosing tonight, you get a free Ryan... Microdosing?
Microdosing?
Yeah, you get a free Ryan Sanders CD.
Hermes is hello, Hermes.
Oh, I've been blessed with Hermes on the back of the
Move your
seat.
head. Move your
okay.
Jewish hairlines.
I'm not Jewish. Stop saying that. Okay, so the next one is answers from Ryan Sanders. We'll be back straight after this. We're going to be talking about Jacob Rothschild.
And you say you're not a Jew?
Where do the answers lie? In a book or up in the sky? I've been digging for truth, answers, I've been looking for mine. Where do the answers lie? Could it all be inside? When I meditate and investigate all corners of my mind, they need waking up. They need waking up. Media got families and friendships and couples breaking up. I just prayed and brought some info down, cause I've been shown how God's word is lingo now. Yeah. Where do the answers lie? Is it in the book or is it in the mind? Is it in the mind? Where do the answers lie? Is it in the book or is it in the sky? I wake up, thank the creator, see them man for the fruits they bear. Whinging, crying, work they ain't done, I guess I gotta take it there. True to myself, I co-create this life, this flavor's rare. God gave me a mission to save these kids from Satan's lair. Freak show on a Friday night, best know I ain't raving there. I'm in the woods, revolution out of the city, there's acres spare. No NPC can come around here. We're like bad slaves that rise above and extinguish fear. Where do the answers lie? Is it in the book or is it in the mind? Is it in the mind? Where do the answers lie? Is it in the book or is it in the sky? God gave you life, what you breathing for? Suicide, no, what you leaving for? Rap man shaking, deep it more for real. God brought me back, you needed more. Snatching back from a demon's claw, it's brighter days after season 4. Where do the answers lie? Is it in the book or is it in the mind? Is it in the mind? Where do the answers lie? Is it in the book or is it in the sky? Where do the answers lie? Is it in the book or inside? Hallelujah. Amen. All praise to the Most High.
Michael's alive. Big shout to Ryan Sanders every time.
Rotten slanders.
Yes, we have to support our homegrown, conscious, grassroots artists. Big shout to Ryan Sanders. And
Shout out to Hermes and Apollo.
Yes, we need to get a cat on each seat.
Apollo's got.
Can't stress enough.
Apollo's
Any
got-
purchase from the website gets a free Ryan Sanders CD. I might even chuck in a sticker
Any
or two.
purchase. Do you get it? 'Cause there's a
Purchase,
fucking
purchase.
cat behind me. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, big shout out to everyone that's still tuned in. Believe it or not, we've still got a few things to goddamn talk about tonight. So let me just get rid of this screen here. Where did we get to?
Just get us off the screen because I'm on a joint, which I don't
Oh,
like
no,
to do
we
on
know-
it. Yeah,
no,
I know.
no,
I
we-
don't like to do it on it.
Yeah, but- Okay.
I don't
let
know
me
how
just-
long Ryan Sanders was going to be.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let me just go back here. So I had a bit. We had this phenomenon this week. No, last week. Sorry. In fact, for the last few weeks, of this absolute demented retard who's been making videos saying that.
Mate, I like it.
I'm
like
not
it.
gonna-
Don't call him a
No,
demented
mate.
retard.
He wished me a slow, painful death on Facebook.
Yeah, but oh come on! Oh, what are you going to take that?
No, but basically,
Come on,
I am not only. Let me just get rid of some of these graphics so we can actually see what's going on
The
here,
dude
guys.
clearly needs a
Big
hug.
shout out to
If
Vinny's still tuned in.
if he's
Big
wishing
shout to
people
Vinny.
a slow and painful death on Facebook,
So
the guy clearly
I am
needs a
Russell
hug.
Brand. I'm also Sacha Baron Cohen.
Both Jews.
And I'm rapper Rakim. Another person he said I am is DJ Jazzy T, who happens to be Asian.
So which is it, Lance?
That's 4 different races. I'm black, white, Asian, and Jewish.
Right, hang on. Right. We're going way too far. Right, even if you were 2 people, right, is he then suggesting that those 2 people are the same person, which is actually you? And now you're actually 3 people.
I don't know.
Is this the gist?
I don't know, but we were joking about some of these videos the other week who were saying Tommy Robinson is the same as that Imam. What is it?
I mean, this one on the top right. I mean, really? Really?
Right, anyway, I don't think we've got enough time to dwell on
No,
this.
okay.
It's a little bit silly because someone that was also saying that then all these stupid memes started turning up of like who I look like as well, saying that I'm the guy out of Halo.
Is this a computer game?
Then Auntie Koviet made this, like, instead of Halo, it's like Raylo or Ralo, season 33.
Right.
You can see where this is going. But anyway, the person who made these videos is clearly at this level of understanding.
Dougal. Nice. That's actually really good.
I'm a researcher.
I haven't got any buttons ready.
Yeah, get the buttons ready, Andy PG.
I told you I was
I can
rolling
only do so many things at once,
I didn't
bruv.
know how long Ryan Sanders is going to be on. Wait,
Well, I told you 2 songs.
where's the clown noise?
The clown noise.
Wait, I'm
the
in
noises
the
up,
shit there.
and I'll get the graphics back up. Sorry, we were so enthralled with what Vinny was saying. We're doing
I
this
like Vinny.
half-assed.
Liddy's the
No,
shit.
he's great. Can't wait to chat to him again. Right, okay, so then obviously we replied with some memes like this. Borat, I quite like that one. Right, okay. Anyway, this is a little pastiche of things I come across in the week. I thought this was really poignant. Waking up really is an inside job.
Did you just say pastiche?
Pastiche.
Nice, man.
It's sort of like pastiche. Just when you
No,
throw some
I
things
like it.
together.
I like it.
And they go together. It's sort of like the opposite of a juxtaposition.
No, I
A
like it,
pastiche
man.
is sort of like a nice little medley
Sounds
of things.
posh.
My grammar school education is showing there, I think. Right, okay, right. Waking up is an inside job. I think this is massively poignant in a lot of stuff that we've been talking about, especially over the last year to 18 months. It's that, there's only a certain amount of waking up you can do to the outside world with these goings on that keep getting thrown in our face. But the inner work is important, okay?
And reading a few articles isn't waking up. I just want to put that out there.
Listen, even if you haven't completed your 10K...
That's not a rabbit hole.
Whether you've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 10K, it's about taking that and putting it into action and making it work on a day-to-day basis and actually helping you manifest the things that you're trying to manifest with all of that taken into mind. Anyway, I just thought that was quite interesting. Right, now the big happening of the last week that we're going to talk about, and Auntie Koviet came up with a killer meme straight away. It's this one. Jacob's Lizard Carker. Now, for anyone outside the UK, very famous crackers, dry crackers, these Jacob's crackers now. Now, old Montgomery Burns, Jacob Rothschild, right, has popped his clogs this week. Now, I swear when this happened, I was instantly had some sort of Mandela effect, or maybe it was a localized micro Nelson. I swear Jacob Rothschild was already dead, mate. I was convinced he was already dead. Anyone in the comment section, did anyone have this when you heard the news this week? You thought, wait a minute, wasn't he already dead? Didn't he die in like 2021 or something like that? Was I alone in that? Was that an actual Mandela effect, or was that a personalised
I'm going to talk to you
micro Nelson?
Talking about Mandela effect, I'm going to talk to you about something off air about a Mandela effect that I've had. It wasn't that, but
Right, this is an off-air Mandela effect. Fucking hell. I can't wait to hear that, mate. Yeah. Right, so anyway, let's get down to business here, because it obviously there's a little bit more to see under the various layers of the onion. Is anyone else seeing here in the comment section that they remember Jacob Rothschild dies? No, that was a personal micro Nelson. That's not a Mandela effect.
A micro Nelson?
Yeah.
Nice,
That's
nice.
it just happens to you.
A micro Nelson?
Now, Jacob Rothschild died this week. Now, people have said he's the richest man on earth, worth 500 trillion. I've seen this posted online. Very hard to really say, because this guy at the end of the day was still in my opinion, and through my level of rabbit holding, my post 10K, this guy is still upper management level. The Rothschild, the Rockefellers, those 12 bloodlines at that level, they're still in an operational level.
He's still a fucking bitch.
Doing the pharmaceutical companies, a banking dynasty. The people that they work for don't have to run those things. The black nobility that have been there for 6,000 years. Yes, this guy's died. Now, my first observation was a lot of people that were truthers and stuff like that were like, yes, a massive blow to the NWO. Jacob Rothschild is dead. Well, guess what? Day one, week one understanding, when you start to look into these people, the double R's, Rockefeller and Rothschild, and these associated bloodlines, this is a transgenerational
There's no way of me
control.
putting a vomit emoji on the screen.
Right, but here is something interesting, PG. I don't know if you know about this. Now, on the left, this is going to spur me into action to get a video up.
Hit that shit.
Let me just get rid of Ryan Sanders, because I think this happened either the day before he died or on the day itself. a rare sighting of the UK King's Guardsman Regiment marching down the Mall, Westminster. So this is right in the centre of London. A white horse comes out when the King is there, normally. But Charles was not there. 2 Black Horse Guardsmen escort the King's flag, which is covered in black.
The black cube covered flag.
So let me just play this video, okay? So this happened, just a bit of context, I believe this happened the day before they announced Jacob Rothschild's death.
This is incredible. Now, from what I can see, this is the Blues and Royals Regiment carrying the colour. Now, this is super rare. You don't often see this at all. Just popped out of nowhere. So I wonder what's going on. This is incredible. So we're in the middle of central London, just off St James's Park on the Mall. Now, often the white horse comes out when the King is present, but for what I can see, the King isn't around at the moment, and how I know that is the Royal Standard should be flying, but it's not flying right now. It's a Union flag that's flying, so I don't know why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. Just incredible.
I forgot to get any popcorn. Got pretzels.
Now it looks like the colour, which is the flag, is covered in a waterproof outer...
Turn it off, Lance. We've seen enough. We've seen enough.
Okay,
We've seen enough.
right.
I think we had a hot mic there. We were talking about pretzels and
Yeah, I was
popcorn.
saying, can I get some pretzels? Right, now people think, why am I showing this? Why am I showing this? People are trying to link it to King Charles, sausage fingers the 33rd. However, I'm going to talk about another potential king. Let me just put this idea on the table. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, the City of London, the Square Mile, has a status very much like the Vatican,
own territory,
and the District of Columbia in Washington DC. They're actually separate legal entities, separate territories to the countries that they're inside. For instance, the government of England, even the monarchy of England, doesn't have jurisdiction inside the City of London. Now, the City of London is what controls the world global financial system, allegedly, even superseding, for instance, the Federal Reserve. Okay, the Crown Corporation. Now, it's been floated around the idea that the reason that particular very, very rare, very unusual parading of the colour, but the colour, the flag was actually covered. This is something that's all to do with the King, right? But Sausage Fingers wasn't in the vicinity. No. He was known to be at like one of his other country estates or something like this. This is the story. If I'm wrong, someone shoot me down in flames. But what I'm going to suggest, and what other people have also suggested, is maybe that parade was for not the King of England, but for the death of the King of the Square Mile, the financial centre.
Oh, Michael.
The City of London. Do you see where I'm going?
I haven't got a button ready. Yes, I have.
Now, anyone that knows anything about the Rothschild dynasty and the power that they've reigned over the fiat monetary system, the fractional reserve lending system, which underpins the global financial system, they've been in charge of that for a good number of centuries. And the City of London is the hub. Is the world capital of that. There's no conversation. There's no argument there. So I'm going to suggest that the reason that we had this parading of the colour, this thing that's supposed to be for the King, or potentially even when the King dies, is because a King did die that day.
Yeah, for sure.
The King of the City of London, the Square Mile.
Michael.
No. We've got pictures here of the shape of Jacob Rothschild's head next to some of these Peru skulls that have been dug up. And I think the technical term for this is Homo copensis. The idea that there were these pre-Adamic humans walking the earth with these elongated skulls. And it's even written in mythology that they were carnivorous towards the Homo sapiens, which would i.e. be us. Right. So, it is kind of obviously a big event. The king of the current reigning monarch of the Rothschild dynasty, which is arguably the king of the world financial institution.
This is a holographic construct.
Has died this week. No doubt at all. And I'll just draw on this photo here on the right that a lot of people have been posting about as well. I'm not going to claim any credit for this. It's all over the place. 2020, Marina Abramovich, arguably in the sort of like Crowleyan Hollywood Sabbatean Frankist cult of entertainment and art in big inverted commas.
That was beautifully put, Lance.
Yeah, you like that? That's a good. She's the high priestess.
That's a hell of a title.
The high priestess, no doubt. You know, so to be stood with
the king
of the world financial, let's say the king of the Black Cube organisation.
Yes. Thank you.
Let's get it right. This guy is the king.
Why the fuck
the Black
else
Cube
are they
organisation.
flying a black flag over?
Well, do you know what this paint?
The solar death cult
I pressed the wrong
symbolism
button.
flag.
Do you know what this painting is called? It's called Satan Summoning His Legions.
Yes, mate.
By Sir Thomas Lawrence from 1797.
This brings us back to Pizzagate.
But look, it's just like so fitting that like the king of the Black Cube organisation with their chief priestess.
High priestess.
Right in front of that painting in 2020. Only one Greek cycle of 4 years before his meat suit is officially expired.
Shout out to Thomas Sheridan promoting Marina Abramovic. You fucktard.
Yeah, we've got to mention that anyone. That's,
someone send that clip to him.
Anyone that's defending Marina Abramovich it needs to be.
So this is a theory I've had, right, as well. This coincides with the fact we've had Vinny Eastwood on, who's on literally the other side of the peasant sphere. The reason that we don't get too fucked here physically in the UK, physically with BLM protests, wars and shit like that, is because we are the financial hub. We're living on the land of the financial hub.
We're lucky to be like the peasants living on the outskirts of the square mile.
If the shit goes down here, the whole their system goes down.
Well, that's what Archaic said Brexit was all about. The whole reason that Brexit happened, and they pretended that we had a vote about it, was because the old money in the UK establishment that are centred in that square mile, they know that the plan is to flood Europe with incompatible people from other regions that are going to cause massive destabilisation. And simply, Brexit was to try and sidestep the inevitable clusterfuck that they know is going to happen to Europe, because they don't want it to happen right on their doorstep, because the square mile is very small. It's literally 1 square mile.
The head of the serpent.
Yeah. The head of the serpent. It's crazy. You can
Shout out to Wim.
You can actually sort of like put a measuring yard up to the head of the serpent.
A measuring rod.
And say, it's literally 1 square mile. So some interesting memes and stuff that came out of this week. Is he really dead though? The return of Jacob Rothschild, and there's sort of like this Simpson-esque cartoon here where he's like Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in a little jar. Like,
this looks very future armor.
Let me just get rid of that gold badge thing. Right. Just in, Jacob Rothschild dies at age 87. Remember the number 87. Now, this is one of these things. I don't bother to check it anymore because they're always fucking true. Every time someone posts one of these ridiculous numerological anomalies, 6 years, 6 months, 6 days after 8/21/17. So that's the big eclipse, which I'm about to talk about in a minute. And 6 weeks before the coming eclipse in 2024. So we've got a 666. How many of these big important events are these, the tinfoil crew putting their calculators up to and getting these 666s?
And however many are linked to lunar activity.
I've checked out at least 10 of these claims before with the calculators, with the dates, and they're always true, 666. And then, at the same week that this is happening, King Sausage Fingers the 33rd, he's given 6 months to live amid a pancreatic cancer battle. So there's a big theme this week. Not only did the king of the Black Cube organisation die, not only did King Sausage Fingers just get given 6 months to live, what else was there?
Question.
Go on,
before we go any further.
Yeah, before we go any further.
I'm just applying the trivium in my ass. And who's putting this numerology configuration out?
Al Gore.
Who is putting these out?
What you mean?
This has been going on for a number of years now. This isn't a new thing.
So
right?
what we okay,
But
let's
hang
just
on,
do it
wait,
by
wait,
this
wait,
example.
wait.
So are you trying to say that the king of the Black Cube
No.
organisation maybe didn't die that certain day?
No,
that they
no,
just
no, no,
annou-
no, not
announced
at all.
it that day to get
Not
those
at all.
numbers?
Not at all. What I'm suggesting is, we're currently in the greatest apocalypse ever.
Yeah.
So wouldn't a great reveal to be for somebody who's in the know to just spit this numerology out? But
I think that is the great reveal for people
that's
that are
what I'm
really
saying.
paying attention.
No
that are
one
really-
needs to even do the research and actually even check the numbers, because somebody who already knows the numbers then just puts that information out there.
How crazy is it that I can just look at this, and because the last 10 times I've seen one of these memes with a really big world happening, that there's been a 666 in the dates, I feel like I don't need to check it anymore.
Over 33 times, Lance.
But is that a good or a bad thing?
I like it, mate.
Could someone fact check this for me? Is it really 6 years, 6 months, and 6 days since the 2017 eclipse on the 21st of August? Is it really 6
That's what
weeks?
I'm saying. So if this is true, let's just go with the narrative. Let's just go with it's true. So somebody who knew the peasant, Jacob Rothschild, Jewish chill, was dying, right, and was going to die that day, right? They just put that information out there for the great reveal as part of the greatest apocalypse ever.
But if he actually did die on that day, we're not just dealing with coincidences. This is obviously some sort of like cosmic holographic clock.
But yes, thank you, Lars. This moves on to my next point. Thank you.
This is a holographic construct.
Please refer to it is true. So Andy Pandy 33 has checked it.
Yeah, okay,
He says
thank
it really
you.
is true. Okay, so let's carry on with this narrative that we've got this crazy 666. The king of the World Global Financial Black Cube Organization has died with his crazy 666.
The whoish motherboard.
Then we've got 6 months for Sausage Fingers the 33rd. He's got cancer. Okay, so Rothschild dies at 87. This week, the Pope, 87.
Pope Francis Troutmouth.
Hospitalised with flu. Okay.
Hospitalised with Jew. Sorry.
He's a little hat as well. He's just the cross.
Yeah, of course he is.
He's just
That's awesome.
got the cross. He's still a little hat.
That's awesome.
Right, okay. Right, now here's where it gets a bit weird. Now, I heard, basically, there was this theme this week of it wasn't going well for the elder upper echelons of the Black Cube organisation. I've just given you some examples. Here's another one. Thomas Kingston, inquest to open the death of Prince Michael of Kent's son-in-law.
Prince Michael, everyone.
Right, now, this is a member of the Black Cube organisation royal family frontmen in the UK that you don't often hear about. Many people have talked about this guy as being sort of like only 2 levels under Jimmy Savile.
So that's
how high up he was
so
in
this
the
ladies-
echelons.
so-
Right?
Oh, mate, I had the button
Let
ready.
me tell you.
I had the button ready.
Believable.
So this, ladies and gentlemen, would be more than likely one of your, I'm not saying the string pullers, but one of the suggestion outputters of the dark occult.
He's basically, I believe, one of the highest ranking
Yeah.
Scottish Rite Freemasons
This dude's
in the UK.
This dude's definitely a dark occultist, right? I can guarantee you this dude would be on the
Prince
top
Michael of Kent this week, his son-in-law, who is of no age at all and apparently in good health, was found dead, and they have opened an inquest, so they haven't really said if there's foul play or not. Now, this isn't like particularly relevant. This is more just like weird and funny. So I sort of like looked into like
I mean, his name's Michael.
Prince Michael of Kent, right?
Stay off my buttons, Lance.
Okay,
You're not
get
ready.
a
I
fucking
saw
Michael
you
button.
were going for that shit.
And like
Just
I said,
stop
he
it.
is the highest ranking Freemason in the UK, and you know, Vinny was had a very balanced view of the Freemasons earlier on, and it is true. It doesn't stop us from taking the piss out of the apron-wearing dark Freemasons that enslave humanity. Now, I always wondered what the G stands for.
Yes.
In the symbol, whoever knew, it just stands for gay, straight up. Now, this is obviously Prince Michael. Do you know what Prince Michael's wife is called?
Michelle?
No, it's called Prince. No, she's called Princess Michael. Here, look. Princess Michael.
Oh, come on. You're actually serious?
No, come on. Let's be real. It's a title. So he's Prince Michael of Kent. And
just like your Prince Michael.
and she is Princess Michael of Kent. Do you know what her real name is? Check this out. Baroness Mary Christine Anna Agnes Hedwig Ida von Riebnitz.
What a shit name.
Right, but did you also know, and this is where it gets really funny, because it's always the old adage, and you know, anyone in the know
Mate,
knows about the links to the Third Reich and the Nazi Party.
Mate, that's a
with
hell of a signature.
It is, but listen to her father's name. Her father's name was Frere Gunther Hubertus von Riebniks, right?
Right, straight up, these people sound like fucking Nazis.
And Princess Michael's father was a Nazi party
Yeah,
member.
there you go.
And served as a cavalry officer in the Waffen SS.
Yeah,
so he's actually
thank-
like
yeah,
an SS
thank you.
officer. So, like, you know, we always have the old joke, yeah, they're all Nazis. But no, it really is true. Like, and these are some of the more behind the scenes royals. But anyway, they had a suspicious death this week. So we had this sort of theme of people maybe stepping into the shadows, retiring, being offed, and obviously, right,
Going into bunkers.
when things like this happen in the clanverse and in the great sort of like peasant projection, you see the ripples in the financial
Nice, the
world.
peasant projection.
The peasant projection,
nice,
yeah. When these things happen in the grand scheme of things, you can always see the ripples in the financial world. And sometimes I like to look in the financial world first to see the pre-ripples. So one thing we covered on the show like months ago.
The Pripples.
The Pripples. The one thing we covered on the show months ago was like the Rothschild family selling off like a ridiculously unprecedented amount of physical assets, property, land, huge tracts of land, like the Black Forest, huge amounts of the Black
Family
Forest.
heirlooms.
Family heirlooms, irreplaceable, almost.
Shit that's been in the family since the age of Gilgamesh,
they were selling
for fuck's sake.
tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of pounds worth. But it's also happening in other sort of like tech oligarchs. So the great crash out, Jeff Bezos, Leon Black.
What did you just say? Tech oligarch?
Tech oligarchs.
Fucking hell, nice, lad.
Tech oligarchs, yeah. The great cash outs, Jeff Bezos, Leon Black, Jamie Dimon, and the Walton family have now sold a combined 11 billion in company stocks this month. And this is, I believe, was from February. Some for the first time ever. Do they know something we don't? Now, I'm not going to be a doom monger here, but I try to take note of all of this stuff that's going on all the different social media, on Telegram and stuff, and I try to sort of like look at it as an egregore and then try and conglomerate some themes. And I have kept talking about this eclipse that's going to happen on April the 8th.
Again, with the lunar.
Yeah. Now, what did I say before? And it's not my saying, but that millionaires don't care about astrology and things that go on in the sky, but billionaires do, and trillionaires live their life by it. Now, people there is a huge amount of quite fanatical stuff about this eclipse that's going to happen on April the 8th. I found out that it's not only just a very rare total eclipse that won't happen again until 2044 over the United States. It's also the end of some sort of celestial calendar.
What is it, Lance? April the 8th?
April the 8th.
So do the gematria on that as a 3.
Well, here's the thing. It's described as the 408, right? Because April is the 4th month. And now, do you know what 408 means in computing?
Go on.
It basically means computer crash or error.
Okay, so do the gematria on it. So
people are linking online and they're saying that they believe that this could be the event which causes some sort of like.
But is this the same as Y2K?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But but this ain't being pushed by the mainstream. This is being pushed by the tinfoil crew.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm more inclined to take note. Now, this is from someone called Mark Gray. And again, I'm not saying I believe this, guys. I'm just putting this on the table because I'm seeing this recurring theme about people talking about this eclipse on April the 8th. Passing over this line in the United States that's got all of these biblical names in it. Nineveh. It's linked to the shield, the red shield, the Rothschild. And they're saying that it's very significant that the king of the Black Cube organization, this red shield, has passed away just before this eclipse is going to happen. The 408 total eclipse enters Black State. It passes over somewhere called Black Rock. Apparently, it crosses the 2017 eclipse over a town called Rupture. So obviously, all the Christian fundamentalists are going nuts about it.
Of course.
Again, guys, I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just reporting on what was being shared in the alternative media because a lot of people are going absolutely crazy about this and saying.
You think about it. You've got Blackstone, could be Ben Stone.
Well, everyone's saying that we're well overdue the next Black Swan event after 2020.
Overdue.
Right? Overdue. We're overdue
Shout
a
out
Black
to Jacob
Swan
Rothschild.
event. And the general consensus between people paying attention is that the next event is going to be something sort of like EMP, electronic, takes out a huge amount of the power grid, maybe the internet.
Oh, come on, mate. This is Q stuff. Take out the internet, power grid coming down.
Well, look at
Surely.
Cyber Polygon. If you can look at their projections pre-Soviet Union, Dark Winter, Crimson Winter, Operation, what was it, 101 or whatever?
201.
201.
Yeah.
We have all of those precursors for a global cyber attack.
I'm not saying it's not on the cards. I'm saying like, this is it's been a fear-mongering technique.
I'm just pointing out that
to stick people in fear for fucking years now. This shit's been going down.
Oh no, of course. I'm just pointing out that people are linking this date of the 408 to the 408 computer code.
Okay, just to play peasant's advocate.
Peasant's advocate.
This could just be another thing, just like it's people linking up loads of shit just to make the whole quote unquote retarded movement look retarded.
Oh no, sure. Like all of the other things.
Just to play advocate, that's what I was saying earlier about who are these people that put all these numbers together. Like literally, as soon as Jacob Rothschild dies, there's like posts about it. Like fucking, this was linked to lunar eclipse on fucking Mars 33 million years ago.
It's endless.
Like,
it's endless.
And it seems to be all the time. Like who are making these posts? And everyone just jumps on it like it's a fucking dog on heat and just shares it all over the place. Just talks like it's fact without anyone actually doing any research to seeing if it's actually true.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. That's why when I bring these things in the Schwab show each week, I always say, I'm merely reporting on what the hot topics is in the alternative media.
For a culture which calls everyone a shill, everyone's calling everyone a shill. You would think that when somebody says something, you wouldn't just believe it. You'd actually then do some research to see if what they're saying was factually correct.
At least
because
check it
everyone's
on
calling everyone a fucking shill. Yeah.
Right. Last talking point for tonight. I guess, and we have talked about in the last couple of weeks, is the farmer protest / riots. So it's something that's been going on for a month or two now. It's getting more prevalent.
Expanded, mate.
It's expanding all the time. It's going to all different countries. It's across Europe. It's even in India now. Let me just get the video up. I found a particularly good little short video of what's been going down. It looks pretty spectacular. Check this out. I just had to mute the mics because I think me and Andy PG might drop a bomb on this. Now, let me just put first principles down. We know what's happening with the war against farmers. We support anyone that's trying to do anything to support farmers and to bring light to the problems that they're facing because of Lord Schwab and his plans. However, from looking at that and what I was saying this 2 or 3 weeks ago, that this is all very well and good, that these farmers all over the world are doing these protests and they're basically turning into riots and they're spraying shit everywhere. But every time they're doing that, that's another farmer that's not growing food.
I'll elaborate on this.
And guess what? The plan is for farmers not to be growing food. And I would say that even if all of those farmers there are real, genuine farmers and they are thinking they're doing well and they're protesting against it, there is a very good chance, in my opinion, and shoot me down if I'm wrong, that they could actually be inadvertently playing directly into the sweaty, grubby little hands of Lord Schwab by providing the aggressive, militarised opposition to the Great Reset that they're helping to happen by not growing food.
and I'll elaborate on exactly what Lance just said.
Go on, Andy PG. I'll get the buttons out.
At the moment, Lance, if you had enough money and you chose to, you could go and buy a JCB. You could go and buy a combine harvester. You could go and buy any amount of farm machinery you wanted. Yeah,
I've got a telehandler.
Yeah, there you go. You could go and buy whatever you wanted. Well, look, as soon as I saw tyres being dumped on the fucking pavement, I think that's not from a farm. They ain't farming. I've seen people farmers spray manure, dumping manure and hay and shit like that, and throwing it at McDonald's. Seen all that shit. Somebody dumping tyres and setting fire to a pile of tyres. That's not farming related. That's like, what's the agent provocateur activity to me. Now you think about it. If this activity is going on, right, and people are dumping tyres and using these vehicles for shit like that, how long do you think it will be before nobody can buy a vehicle unless they're sanctioned by the government to do so?
Well, let me put it like this. How long do you think someone would have lasted in the middle of an anti-lockdown protest in London if they drove a 4x4 into the middle of the protest, parked it across the road, and started putting up banners and pumping out from speakers?
Look at all the police just standing around, being told just to stand there, cording it off as if anyone else was going to try and stop them, just to stop them. They weren't doing anything. Mate, if they wanted to, you'd have fucking tanks in there. Like, they'd just surround the tractor or whatever. It couldn't be able to move anywhere.
Going to, if that was to be believed what it was, there were tractors there with heavy loads, meters away from armed police, suspending heavy loads above their heads.
Thank you. That's fresh. Every day is a psyop. Correct.
They were threatening the lives of police officers. And I'm not making any judgment about this. I'm just pointing out the facts. Those police, if they wanted to, could have stopped that in 2 seconds by simply rushing the cab, jumping in, taking out the driver, turning off the ignition. So in whatever you want to say...
Guys, this is happening in countries where gunfire is legal, right? It's not like the UK, yeah? Like, some of these countries happening, they could just pop the driver from a fucking sniper rifle within the cab. Like, and look, you know, I'm not saying a fatal shot, but to disarm them, to disable them.
They're obviously letting this happen.
Yeah, that's precisely what I'm getting at.
Whichever way you want to look at it, and however you want to attribute control, acquiescence, or...
And this all started, Lance, with the fucking, I think it was the Canadians, the lorry convoys. This all started, then it went to farming. This is all started from that shit.
What if this mass movement of hauliers that move the food around and the farmers that grow the actual food, what if this mass movement of taking them away from their job of producing and supplying what we need to carry on is actually completely designed and handed to them on a plate as the opposition to the plans to stop them from doing what they're doing anyway? Does everyone see what I'm going with this? They're actually doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing to helping the Great Reset to
Not
happen.
only that, but think about it. Think about a protest, right? Everyone knows, yeah? Anyone who even is like remotely fucking awake, even if you're not educated or well read, you know that protests get infiltrated by agent provocateurs and people that want to sway it and do shit like that.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
So why wouldn't this be infiltrated? Why wouldn't the farmers on strike, which is happening internationally, why wouldn't that be infiltrated? As soon as I seen tyres being chucked on the road, I was like, this is bullshit.
People are going to say, well, okay, well, what is the solution then? It's very simple. In my opinion, the solution, and someone's already just said it in the comments a minute ago, is mass non-compliance. If every single farmer and trucker that was out there protesting and doing potentially what they're supposed to do, if they just carried on growing, producing, supplying and hauling and basically refusing to comply with said regulations, refusing to install said black box in the cab, refusing to do whatever they're being asked to do en masse, then the control structure, the agenda would fall away instantly.
Unfortunately, Lance, that takes courage.
Yeah, it does. It
Which
takes
is what's
mass non-compliance.
Which is what's lacking, unfortunately.
Yeah, William Wu says it here. Even protesting is a psyop now. Yeah, because the people who were behind this...
That's a way to implant the people to do your agenda. Like,
when you've done your 10K and you've read 5 simulation reports for an agenda that culminated in an event, say it was 2 years ago. In the last 10 years, you've read 5 simulation reports predicting that. And in those reports, there's been detailed paragraphs about the backlash, the protesters, the anti-vaxxers, their movements within the media, within the alternative media, on social media. And you've seen all the reports, the graphs, the simulations about it. Then you know that, yeah, all of these big organised protests, all of these big organised counter movements are all psyops as well. Sorry, bad news.
Raw. Might not have been that way at the start, but it sure is now.
It doesn't mean that all the people there are in on it. A lot of people, what's the first thing you do? You want to you wake up to the absolute peasant sphere. The first thing you want to do is go and connect with other people that think the same way. So you go to a protest. Nothing wrong with that at all. But if you're really clued up when you go there, maybe even on the first time, you will notice the suspect characters that are walking around doing whatever they want.
The problem is people aren't clued up to go there. They're just not.
And some people keep going there over and over and over again, and they never.
That's the
evolve
thing,
or
though.
move on, and they become mates with the controlled opposition and the agent provocateurs and the shills. I've seen it happen.
It's the same,
and they're genuine people.
It's the same thing as like people posting on Facebook and thinking they're going to make a difference. Well, you think how many groups are on Facebook, right? And then you think how many groups are infiltrated and actually run by the opposition, which want you to shitpost all the time or waste all your energy and just flood social media with bullshit all the time. Not that I'm saying none of it's correct. I'm saying, but who's it helping just by posting on social media? About fucking fluoride in the water or, you know, global satanic paedophiles running shit. Everyone knows that shit, man. Move on.
It goes back to this, waking up as an inside job.
Yeah.
And when you've truly woken up inside, you realise that unless you are literally producing some media or creating some content, that there's no point in carrying on posting about the same old evidence. Here's another aspect of the same evidence. That
Especially the people that don't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah.
How many people, say someone's got 500 people on their friends list on Facebook or 1,000 followers on Instagram, how many of those people are actually on board with what they're saying? Probably a very small percentage. And how many people are you actually going to sway? Like by posting shit like that at the time? People just think you're a fucking weirdo.
Many people might have already unfollowed them.
Yeah, exactly. And people just think you're a fucking weirdo. Get over it. Move on.
Get over it. Move on. I'm sure we've got. Let's just finish on a bit of stupid clown world. How do you feel about that? Yeah.
Yeah, I love a bit of clown world, mate.
Okay.
Gets me through the week.
This is a good meme. Check this out. British politics brought to you by the World Demonic Forum.
Is this Richie Schwab
and Klaus Starmer?
Klaus Starmer. There you go. Yeah.
But the crazy thing is. I don't know. It's just weird because they obviously they both. No, it's too.
This
much.
is fantastic.
It's actually very good. I'd like to know who made this.
This is art.
I can't see any watermarks. Whoever made this meme, send us an email at riseabovelivestream@gmail.com.
Saying that, I kind of like it that it's anonymous as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. This was something that King David said this week that was really good. In a nutshell, he came up with this new term. MAM or MAM, it stands for mainstream alternative media. Do you know this is something that we've been talking about?
Yeah.
Like the rise of
your
this,
Billy Carson, your Graham Hancock,
your Gaia, your GB News, all of that. But Sheep Farm have done some great work.
Your peasantry alternative media.
Sheep Farm have done some great work identifying the British MAM.
And I've got news for anyone who's listening, and I'd actually quite enjoy to offend someone. You're an NPC if you subscribe to all that shit. You're just an NPC on a different level.
Don't you think it's funny, though, at the same time that we were coming up with terms like, NOM, New Organic Media, NOM.
King David's coming up with MAM.
King David, the opposite of NOM, is MAM. This is why the deep state allowed Musk to acquire Twitter/X with its WEF's CEO. Here's an excellent article written by Whitney Webb. Big shout out to King David on that. I came across this during the week. Maybe it was last week, potentially. I found it pretty hilarious. It's not real. I don't think it's real. There's no way this is real. There's these ex-dance choreographers and dance captains. There's a job, £33,000 a year. No, only joking. It doesn't.
This isn't real. This can't be.
No, of course it's not. The closing date is 29th of June 2024. Highly exceptional and enthusiastic Disease X dance choreographers. Successful candidates must have experience in TikTok video creation and post-production song editing. I thought that was really funny. But
Lance, we've got someone in the chat here. Sorry to butt you in. We've got
Go
someone
on.
in the chat. Here you go.
What's that? Put it on the screen.
Yeah, it is. When Grid goes down.
Oh yeah, Oma Beats was spinning quite a few tunes from Crown Jewels.
Nice.
Yeah, big shout out to Crown Jewels. Really, really underground, grassroots, organic UK hip hop collective. We've got a lot of time for Crown Jewels.
Sort of slip that in there. Yeah.
Okay, here's a good. We're just going to finish on this, guys. And remember, we're not here next week. We're the week after we come back with a.
We're here on Thursday, guys. Don't forget the Michael dosing.
Yeah, let me
seminar.
just get the QR code. There's no Rise Above next week, but if you scan this code and you get a ticket to Raw Academy on Thursday night, you can have a much more intimate experience with like 20 or 30 of us learning all about microdosing in a Zoom meeting.
Maybe 33.
But, we aim for 33. I believe that's the official maximum size of the class to keep it intimate. So, long COVID brain fog may be due to leaky blood-brain barrier.
Brain fog. Nice. They're actually linking that now to COVID.
But look, no, to blood-brain barrier. You know what causes that when you
of course.
you put foreign bodies up your nose? Yeah, apparently. So I thought that was quite fitting. And then on the right here, Canadian doctors admit that a COVID booster shot paralysed a woman. Offer to euthanize her to make up for it. Now,
wow.
Now, obviously, we recommend that anyone that wants proper medical advice about said conditions goes to the World Health Organization website. We're merely commenting on some news clippings that we found on social media.
This is phenomenal. They fucked her life up, and then they're offering to kill her.
Yeah, to make up for it. Look at the name of the person.
As compensation.
The name of the person that wrote the article, Frank Bergman.
Frank Bergman.
Trustworthy news for Frank Bergman. I've got a feeling that
I think this is the most phenomenal news article I've ever read.
I've got a feeling it might not be real, but no,
I want it to be real.
I think it is real, but just in case it gets fact checked, I've got to point out that I don't know the validity of this. It might be fake. I just got to point that out. And obviously, if you want to fact check it, go to the World Health Organization because that's where you can get the truth.
Absolutely,
really important.
Billy Carson, you could ask him.
Yeah, ask him too. Proper clan world here. This is Mail Online, 24th of February, 2024. Saying the most qualified person that should get the job. This is coming from a university. Is a microaggression. A microaggression.
Sorry.
Michael. It's a microaggression, according to Britain's top university. We insist it's ignorant. Mate, you were ignorant. I was Peter Pan.
Nice.
I was Peter Pan.
This is new.
Don't make me open up the Michael box because I might not be able to put it back inside. Saying the most qualified person should get the job is a microaggression.
Okay. Everyone's offended. More of that.
Fantastic.
Right. Moving on to the right. Men and women's brains.
This is a brand new scientific breakthrough. It took right up until the 19th of February 2024.
So men and women's brains and everything in between do work differently. Scientists discover for the first time.
Wow, scientists discover for the first time what people have known
Really?
since the dawn of time.
And these people are in charge, you say?
Yes, this is cutting edge clan world knowledge. If you want to,
People listen to this dribble. This is the Telegraph.
If you want to stay up to date with all of the best clan world science, you need to tune into Rise Above TV on a Friday night at 9 p.m. And let me just finish with this. Straight from a Google search. This is like, a Wikipedia /Google/Al Gore definition of the truth. A Therian, which is something that's happening in schools, young people are identifying as Therians. They identify as a species of non-human animal on every level except physical. They often engage in their animals' identities, behaviour. You may be a Therian if you notice yourself shifting, getting impulses to behave as a non-human animal, or if you remember a past life as a specific animal. So this is out of the rope. Wait, one sec. I've just got to point out the reason I'm showing this is people have known about this for ages, but it was in the realms of internet obscurity, the stupid things you see on the internet. But now this is an official definition, so this will be soon taught in schools, just be an accepted standard, that same as being gay.
I get it. Yeah,
or trans. You know what I mean?
So, just run with it here. If they're teaching this to young kids at school, right?
Why wouldn't you? You bigot.
Yeah, of course. if they're teaching this to young kids at school, then if one of these creatures, people, beings, what do we call these things? When they mature in age, and they've got an ailment such as a simple broken arm or something like that, do they go to the vet or a hospital or what's the other one?
Oh fuck! I was going to get the screenshot about this. There's already articles about this that they've tried to go to a vet and vets have turned them away. It's like Therians or Furians or Furbies.
But what's the third option? They're not animal. They're not human. What was the third? Where was the article?
It's called a Therian.
Yeah, but so what is that, like a spiritual thing? That in between animal
It's someone that actually identifies and is an animal on every level, apart from being physically being an animal.
So if they're not physically, like what's the deal there?
They're emotionally, mentally, and spiritually an animal.
So retarded.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I'm up to speed. I know where we are.
A long-winded way of saying
I know where we are.
Right, guys. So let me eat this cookie.
It would have saved a lot of time. They'd just written an article saying children are being indoctrinated into being retarded. That would have saved a lot of...
That's been happening since Yuri Bezmenov warned us about it.
Yeah.
So, guys, we are not here next week. So if you want to join your Ramish family next week, if you want to support Rise Above, and you want to learn from Wisdom of Mushrooms about how to do microdosing and even find out how to get microdoses in
microdosing, thank you.
Encapsulated microdoses, safe packaged from a website. We can show you the good websites to actually get your microdoses. Get a ticket for microdosing next week. It's on a Thursday night. We're not broadcasting. But the week
Can everyone
after,
stop saying Michael?
But the week after, we are broadcasting on the 15th of March, and we've got the legend, the world famous, allegedly Dave in the studio. He's got a whole new bag of subjects to talk about.
Ladies and gentlemen, pour yourself a glass of piss.
Yeah, pour yourself a nice warm glass of piss. We're going to get down to business with allegedly Dave. On that note,
shout out to Vinny Eastwood.
Yeah, Vinny Eastwood was awesome. Can't wait to speak to him again. So I'm going to press this button. I'm going to show a video of the merch. And remember, right up until midnight tonight, anyone that buys merch gets a free Ryan Sanders CD in the post. Anyone else, just before we go, has bought anything?
We'll just cut shut. No, you're all lame.
I'll give you till tomorrow morning. If I come, I'll check it again at 9
o'clock. Until 9:33.
9:33 tomorrow morning. Right, guys, see you in 2 weeks' time. Rise Above.
Thank you.